Dan Proft here. Yeah, I'm back. I wasn't fired. I saw some concern on social media that I had been fired again. Well, not fired the first time, but the rumors abound. So, no, I wasn't fired. I was playing in member guest at Lost Dunes. A programming note, so you don't worry about me being fired on Friday or root for me that I have been fired. You know, I'm sure there's a divided camp, those who are concerned about it and those who are rooting for it. Friday, I'm playing in the Merit Club member guest up in Libertyville, so I'll be off on Friday, and then ideally resume my full-time work schedule the following Monday. Okay, so that's settled. And how did I play? I'm so glad you asked. I played terribly. I stunk up the place. It was fun, always, the Dune Dog event at Lost Dunes up in Bridgman, Michigan, that is. But no, not my finest performance. Speaking of not one's finest performance, although the bar is relatively low, as with my golf game, Hunter Biden comes out of hiding, I don't know, to do this sit-down with some guy named Andrew Callaghan. He's got a podcast like everybody does, Channel 5 with Andrew Callaghan. I've not heard of him before. This get that he got with baby boy Hunter. You remember Hunter Biden? He's the smartest man that Joe Biden knows.
He's a grown man. He is the smartest man I know. I mean, in sort of pure intellectual capacity.
So get ready to be wowed by Hunter Biden's intellectual capacity, because it was a wide-ranging interview. It was really not so much an interview. It was more like this Andrew Callaghan character sitting there in an odd getup, just listening to Hunter Biden rant about topic after topic, all the things that I guess have been bottled up within the innards of Hunter Biden that he put on the outards. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. The big reveal was, according to Hunter, now again, may not be the most credible source for these things, but this is what happened in the infamous debate that led to the political demise of the big guy.
I know exactly what happened in that debate. He flew around the world, basically, the mileage that he could have flown around the world 3 times. Yeah. He's 81 years old. He's tired as give him Ambien to be able to sleep. He gets up on the stage, and he looks like he's a deer in the headlights.
So he was on Ambien. And there's a lot of skepticism expressed about the truth of that statement because, of course, I mean, what doctor? You assume that he's clearing things through his doctor. He's not self-medicating like, say, Hunter does. And what doctor would prescribe a pretty heavy-duty sleeping agent prior to a national debate? That seems strange, but that's Hunter's story, and he's sticking to it. He's not done unloading about the election and how his dad got sidelined, and by extension, the family business interests. He's got a word or two, most of them profane, for George Clooney, for David Axelrod, for James Carville, for Anita Dunn, and on and on.
Him and everybody around him. I don't have to be nice. Number one, I agree with Quentin Tarantino. George Clooney is not a actor. He is a I don't know what he is. He's a brand. And by the way, and God bless him. You know what? He supposedly treats his friends really well. You know what I mean? Buys them things. And he's got a really great place in Lake Como. And he's great friends with Barack Obama. You, what do you have to do with anything? Why do I have to listen to you? What right do you have to step on a man who's given 52 years of his life to the service of this country and decide that you, George Clooney, are going to take out basically a full-page ad in the New York Times to undermine the president?
He's not done. This is a full Lee Ilya.
You know what George Clooney did? Because he sat down, I guess, because he was like given the blessing by the Obama team or the Obama people and whoever else, and David Axelrod and whoever the else, is to go, okay, yeah, you know what? We are going to insert our judgment over yours. Me and James Carville, who hasn't run a race in 40 years, and David Axelrod, who had one success in his political life, and that was Barack Obama. And that was because of Barack Obama, not because of David Axelrod. And David Plouffe, and all of these guys, and the Pod Save America guys, who were junior speechwriters in, on Barack Obama's Senate staff, who have been dining out on the relationship with him for years, making millions of dollars. The Anita Dunns of the world, who's made $40-50 million off the Democratic Party. They're all going to insert their judgment over a man who has figured out, unlike anybody else, how to get elected to the United States Senate over 7 times, how to pass more legislation than any president in history, how to have a better midterm election than anybody in history, and how to garner more votes than any president that has ever run. And they're going to replace their judgment for his.
2 words for George Clooney: frack you. And I mean, I got to admit that was sort of satisfying. I kind of like Hunter Uncut, so to speak. Glenn in not exactly South Florida, Orlando. Glenn.
Yeah, good morning. That Hunter Rant reminds Chicago Cubs years ago.
Yeah, I just mentioned the Lee Ilya rant, an instant classic. Yeah, it's like he was talking about Axelrod and all these Obama staffers, like Lee Ilya talked about the bleacher bums. Thanks for the call, Glenn. No, it's pretty fun, really fun. I mean, he didn't go full Tony La Russa. He didn't like pick up third base and throw it into the outer surroundings. They were in some bucolic setting, the two of them, this Andrew Callaghan and Hunter Biden. Maybe a treatment center of some sort. It's hard to say. Hunter had some other choice words. I mean, frankly, pick a topic, any topic, and Hunter has choice words. And by that, I mean, it's just F this and F that and F that guy and F you if you don't like it. Elon Musk.
I mean, you sit here and, I mean, like, just think about it. You got some who's made over, what, $251 billion being a United States citizen that got here and stayed here illegally before he got his citizenship, sitting here lecturing us on who we should allow into the United States of America and giving us a Heil Hitler along the way. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, wait, do me next. I want to get roasted by Hunter Biden. Isn't that fun? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. But there were some serious moments. Well, as serious a moment as Hunter Biden can muster. He did want people to know that, one, he is a enthusiastic artist, and he wants that to be separated from his professional pursuits, such as they are. And it's unfair that they're not. So we'll get to his blow art in just a second. But on the other matter which really sort of brought Hunter Biden to the fore and started prompting questions about, the self-dealing of the Biden family, the leveraging of public office for personal profit. And that's, of course, Burisma. When it first came to light that he was on the board of this Ukrainian energy company, and you're like, Hunter Biden? Yeah, he's got a Yale law degree, but that doesn't mean he knows anything about the sector. And normally, if you're on a corporate board of any business that is substantial, you're bringing something other than knowledge of Robert's Rules of Order to the table. So he wants you to know that he was, and by the way, this prompted concerns from within the Obama White House at the time as well, you'll recall. So this is how it all started to unravel, is Burisma. And he was qualified to be on that board. And if you don't think so, then frack you.
100%. I had an organization that was willing to pay me for a service that I was 100% qualified to do. I went to Yale Law School. I served on dozens of boards before this. I was an expert in corporate governance. I have a encyclopedic knowledge of the region. I had served on a major infrastructure company's board and had done work in global aid relief throughout the entire world and had an enormous list of connections of my own. And I was qualified to be on that board. And it gave me the freedom at a time when I really needed the freedom to be with my family, to focus on my brother's health. and I chose to do it, and I was transparent about it, and I did it.
Yeah, he was focused on his brother's health right up until he could make a move on his brother's then widow, the hillbilly crime family from Wilmington, Delaware, lest we forget. If you had an interviewer that had firing synapses, you could have had some interesting moments, maybe even somebody getting punched out, meaning the interviewer, if you would have pressed Hunter on some of these details. Really, you have an encyclopedic knowledge of Eastern Europe. Let's probe that. I'm interested. Okay, I'll be your Huckleberry. Let's test that encyclopedic knowledge you claim to have. And delve a little bit deeper into sort of these generic credentials he throws out about involved with global aid and so on and so forth. I read a UN encyclical about the World Food Program, but I've been involved in global aid. Let's just lay it all out. You're so qualified and you're so ready to brandish your bona fides. Let's delve, but we didn't have an interviewer with that depth in this case. George in Naperville.
Dan, not since the Dean Martin days have I heard a better roaster.
I'll tell you, and not since the Dean Martin days have you had a less sober one, really, too, wouldn't you say? Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey, good morning, Dan. Thank you for taking my call. This Hunter, great business entrepreneur that he is. So he started out when he needed some bucks or whatever he was doing. He tried his hand at the art and everything that where he crapped on a piece of paper and got all the gazillions of dollars and everything that rolled in there. Well, here's the thing. I think there's a little difference now. Before, he had Papa, who he was selling and getting all this money and all big successful business selling it paper, soiled paper. And then now he's going to try his hand with being a genius interviewer and everything, interviewee, whatever. I don't think it's going to work out.
I don't know. I thought it. Thanks for the call, Craig. I don't know if it's going to work out. It's pretty entertaining. I mean, it may get old if he's just MFing people with every topic, within every topic, and in every answer that he offers on topic. But this one was, I mean, I got to say, it's pretty funny, pretty entertaining. I mean, I'm not buying what this crackhead is selling, obviously. But it was just entertaining. And hey, look, if Hunter Biden wants to go after George Clooney and Obama flax, God bless him. Go for it. I'll sit on the sidelines and enjoy some popcorn and watch. Bill on the Northwest side.
Yeah, and he finished in the top 10% of his class, and he knew corn pop.
Yeah. Yes. Other credentials. Thanks for the call, Bill. A little reverb there. But since Craig from Mount Greenwood brought it up, I mean, just so we clear the air here, if you're questioning Hunter's blow art, well, how dare you, sir?
I literally sat in the garage by virtue of my choice and my desire and painted for 3 years. And then they accused me of crimes for painting.
What do you mean?
Well, that I couldn't sell my paint. That it was a clear conspiracy to launder money and to curry influence by selling acrylic on canvas abstract painting by Hunter Biden. All of a sudden, the Iranians are going to change their nuclear weapons program. I mean, it's such insane bullshit.
Yeah. No, of course. Unknown artist sells blow art for $75,000 to $500,000 after first gallery showing. Sure, happens all the time. Yeah, and the fact that Chinese communist apparatchiks were some of the purchasers. I mean, there's nothing, you shouldn't read anything into that. By the way, it's interesting. I saw somebody post about his comments on that in particular, because there's videos of his blow art, pictures of his blow art attendant to this podcast, and clearly an artist. She points out that the bottles are alcohol ink, and she said this is like what I use for beginner painters that I instruct. And oh, by the way, those when you use that to do this watercolor painting, any sustained exposure to sunlight of the painting, and it dilutes it. It starts to fade. And yet, great art collectors were paying $500,000, well, $75,000 to $500,000 for that work. And no one should read anything untoward into it. Of course not. Coming up at 5:30, it may be a few more hits from Hunter Biden, pun intended, because there are some. And then we do have to move on about this matter with Tulsi Gabbard's criminal referral for Obama-era folks, including the POTUS, per Russiagate. But we'll do that after we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 68 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Bob Stevenson. Even after the U.S.'s recent attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities, the Iranian leadership says they're never going to give up their development of nuclear capacities.
Any settlement for Iran's nuclear program should include enrichment in the future because that is our right. We can never give it up.
And Tulsi Gabbard says her office may have uncovered some Obama administration involvement in Russian collusion in Trump's bid for the presidency back in 2017.
Gabbard says documents released on Friday prove while the Obama team previously found a lack of Russian interference in the 2016 election, the narrative changed shortly before Trump took office in 2017. Critics say it was well known that Obama officials were concerned for months leading up to the 2016 presidential election about Russians trying to sow discord on social media sites. Democrats not worried about the DOJ referral.
This news is a service of Blindster.com, selling custom blinds, shades, and shutters at low prices. Their blinds are handcrafted to fit your windows, and if they don't, for any reason, they'll remake them for free. Your satisfaction is always guaranteed at Blindster.com.
Charlie Kirk explains what we're about to see from the left.
Remember, the left will always exploit an alleged emergency. Remember, during COVID, if we don't lock down the schools, kids are going to die. If we do not have sweeping quasi-amnesty, we'll starve and our businesses will collapse. I'm sorry, I don't believe you anymore when you come to these incredibly hyperbolic emergency-type signals.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 11, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's hard to find a nursing home where Christ-centered care is provided. For over 130 years, Lutheran Life has served the needs of seniors at the Lutheran Home in Arlington Heights. With chaplains on full-time duty, the Lutheran Home provides spiritual support as your loved ones confront the hard realities of aging. Our nurses will care for your bodies, and our chaplains will care for your souls. Find out how by visiting LutheranLifeCommunities.org today. That's LutheranLifeCommunities.org.
Why do so many companies count on Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating? Consistent, high level of quality. An ISO certified and A2LA lab accredited heat treating, electroplating, fastener sorting, and packaging job shop. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating meets and exceeds client specifications. Whether a high volume or small production run, their processes ensure a job well done. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this year, they specialize in metal fasteners and stampings for automotive and other industries, and now have approval from Volvo for zinc nickel plating, along with sorting and packaging options. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating serves customers in the Midwest and North Carolina, with easy access to all forms of transportation from their automated facility in Riverdale, Illinois, outside of Chicago. Need consistent quality? Call Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating, 708-849-2050, or visit RiverdalePHT.com. That's RiverdalePHT.com.
Don't miss Destination Retirement with Robert Kuhn every Sunday from 11 to 12. Robert has a different way of looking at retirement from most financial advisors and is happy to share his ideas with you every week. So don't miss what he has to say. Destination Retirement with Robert Kuhn, Sunday mornings from 11 to 12 on AM 560 The Answer.
Why don't we do one of those one-day bathroom remodels?
Well, because I don't want a generic bathroom that looks like it belongs at a campsite.
Fair. I'd love something that fits us. A bigger shower, safety grab bars, better lighting, heated floors.
Let's go with Forever Remodeling. There's no templates. Every design is unique and exactly what we want.
At Forever Remodeling, no two bathrooms are ever the same. Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
Viking, dedicated to creating travel experiences for the thinking person, with programs designed for cultural enrichment on board and on shore. Discover more at Viking.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will bring partial sunshine with a high of 89. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with warm and humid conditions and a low of 73. Tomorrow will feature times of sun and clouds with a high reaching 95. Thursday will be sunny to partly cloudy and hot, also with a high of 95. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and we're talking a little bit about Hunter Biden's sit-down with this Andrew Callaghan dude, podcaster. Interestingly, and I haven't seen anybody take note of this, Callaghan, I mean, perfect guy to interview Hunter Biden, or really just sort of sit there across from him while he goes on one rant after the other, one profanity-laced rant after the other, as we were discussing. Very entertaining. I want to party with you, cowboy, as long as you're taken out after George Clooney and Obama, PR flax, James Carville and the like. That's fun. A lot of fun. But Callaghan has said that he excessively used psilocybin around the age of 13 and suffers from hallucinogen persisting perception disorder as a result. Psilocybin is like shrooms, isn't it? I believe so. In addition to that, Callaghan has previously been accused by multiple women of uncomfortable come-ons, efforts to pressure them into having sex with him, even accusations of sexual assault. So, I mean, I tell you, if you're going to do a sit-down and you're Hunter Biden, I mean, who better than Andrew Callaghan? He may be the one person that you have the moral upper hand on. I don't know. Maybe barely. Maybe not at all. Hunter, we talked about his Lee Ilya quality rant in the direction of Clooney and all those who he feel undermine dear old dad, who was just suffering the ill effects of popping a couple of Ambien before the debate last July, so he says. So Hunter says. We talked about his defense, impassioned defense of his qualifications to be on the Burisma board, as well as his storied career as a blow artist. But he tackles all of the issues. He doesn't shy away from the pressing public policy issues of the day. He is a Yale law graduate. He's
a grown man. He is the smartest man I know. I mean, in pure intellectual capacity.
Exactly. So, I mean, he's happy to take on the issue of illegal immigration and what to do about it. Here's his hot take.
For someone, am I going to be like all these Democrats say, you have to talk about and realize that people are really upset about illegal immigration. You. How do you think your hotel room gets cleaned? How do you think you got food on your table? Who do you think washes your dishes? Who do you think does your garden? Who do you think is here by the sheer just grit and will that they figured out a way to get here because they thought that they could give themselves and their family a better chance. And he's somehow convinced all of us that these people are the criminals?
Okay, well, you heard him. You don't like people coming here illegally? F you. You know what? I appreciate it because that is actually the position of his party. He's just the one with the guts to say it. That's what their real message is to you. You don't like it? F you. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. Now, again, this was not an interview per se. This was just a platform for Hunter to go on his FU-laden diatribes because, you know, we could have gone chapter and verse. Someone could have gone chapter and verse with him on just the last week of people in this country illegally who have committed heinous violent crimes. We'll go over that with a serious person. I'm going to talk to the Sam Olson, the field office director for ICE Chicago, in the 7 o'clock hours. Because you're not supposed to take Hunter seriously, but that doesn't mean he's not a useful blunt instrument. I'll tell you that. And he's got all of the angles considered when it comes to immigration policy. It's not just people coming here illegally to do your dishes. And if you don't like it, F you. It's also the deportees, particularly to El Salvador. He has a message for Trump and El Salvadoran President Bukele. Can you guess what it is?
These guys think that we need to run away from all values in order for us to lead. I say, you. How are we getting those people back from El Salvador? Because I'll tell you what, if I became president in 2 years from now, or 4 years from now, or 3 years from now, I would pick up the phone and call the president of El Salvador and say, you either send them back or I'm going to invade. It's a crime what they're doing. He's a dictator thug.
Bukele or Trump?
Both.
If Hunter is president in 3 or 4 years, and you should have asked if he was running there, Mr. Callaghan. Anyway, Bukele responded to the dictator thug comment with the on X with the question, is Hunter Biden sniffing powdered milk? Well, if he was, Mr. President, it would be no more serious or harmful than drinking. You know, just like crack.
Does crack cocaine make you act any differently? No. Is it safer than alcohol? Probably. People think of crack as being dirty. It's the exact opposite. When you make crack, what you're doing is you're burning off all the impurities so that it combines with the sodium bicarbonate, which makes it smokable. That's all.
We needed one of those rainbows with the star, the more you know, Hunter Biden on crack versus alcohol. Dispelling the myths associated with smoking crack with Hunter Biden. That could be a series. a bit of a bon vivant, Hunter Biden is. The blow art, the crack cocaine, the encyclopedic knowledge of Eastern Europe, so he says. I mean, come on, this is pretty good. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Matt, Mount Greenwood.
Hey, good morning, Dan. You know, this man is an intellectual powerhouse and an artistic genius. He's upset, and he didn't use his expansive utilization of the English language so well because he was very passionate about what he was talking about.
Yes.
But on a more serious note.
But I mean, just one thing. We know this. We have to give him some latitude because all great artists are temperamental.
Yes. But what concerns me is that this white trash hillbilly crime family was bought off by people who are just absolutely laughing at him. And what concerns me more is the constituency that votes for the Bidens, right? Votes for obviously his father. But it's sad. It gives me pause to think about how stupid people really are in this country. Have a good day, Dan.
Thanks for the call, Matt. Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan. Always good talking to you. You took away my talking point. I couldn't believe it when he said he might run for president.
Well, if he was president in 3 or 4 years, but you're right. That does sort of intimate that he may be thinking about a run. I mean, to avenge the maltreatment of his father. And I, for one, say, run, Hunter, run.
And then another topic is I'm waiting to hear how the fake news media is going to review this lecture or this interview.
Oh, I don't think they're going to give it much review at all, given its contents. Thanks for the call, Bob. It's unhelpful to their mission of propping up all those neo-Marxists inside the Beltway. So I don't probably think they'll give Hunter Biden much bandwidth. Probably the fact that he did this big, wide-ranging discussion with Andrew Callaghan, who I've never heard of, and most of you haven't either, probably shows you what the interest level is from the D.C. press corps. Robert in Bloomingdale.
Good morning. This just shows you the intellect and the greatness of Burisma
Burisma in Ukraine when Hunter Biden was getting paid $60,000 a month on the board to contribute to all the energy knowledge he had about natural gas and other things.
Yes, there's no question. Thanks for the call, Robert. He was often known to say, if you don't like his position, then F you. I want to hear the Clooney rant just one more time. The second half of it where he ropes everybody else in. Come on. Enjoy it with me.
You know what George Clooney did? Because he sat down, I guess, because he was like given the blessing by the Obama team or the Obama people and whoever else, and David Axelrod and whoever the else is to go, okay, yeah, you know what? We are going to insert our judgment over yours. Me and James Carville, who hasn't run a race in 40 years, and David Axelrod, who had one success in his political life, and that was Barack Obama. And that was because of Barack Obama, not because of David Axelrod. And David Plouffe, and all of these guys, and the Pod Save America guys, who were junior speechwriters in, on Barack Obama's Senate staff, who have been dining out on the relationship with him for years, making millions of dollars. The Anita Dunns of the world, who's made $40, $50 million off the Democratic Party. They're all going to insert their judgment over a man who has figured out, unlike anybody else, how to get elected to the United States Senate over 7 times. How to pass more legislation than any president in history, how to have a better midterm election than anybody in history, and how to garner more votes than any president that has ever run. And they're going to replace their judgment for his.
I'll tell you, if I was looking for somebody to help refurbish my reputation, Hunter Biden's the guy I'd go to. What a wonderful, persuasive, compelling defense of the big guy's record of public service. I'm convinced. Oh, boy. Tony, Southside.
Good morning, Dan. Hey, listen, this Andrew Callaghan guy, I don't think the mainstream media is really all concerned about him getting this interview. This guy was on Theo Vaughn. Come on. I mean, really. What?
Exactly. No, exactly.
Right? So, talk to you later, brother.
Thanks for the call, Tony. Jim in LaGrange.
Dan, watching that episode was hauntingly disturbing, like looking at the Kramer and making a decision as to how good or bad it was. But if he was a serious artist, he would have just cut his ear off in the live interview, and that would have been TV history right there.
There you go.
Good day.
Thanks for the call, Jim.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
This is Seth Leibson for townhall.com. Mentioning Town Hall is not to say it was always with us or inevitable. Town Hall was birthed into the nascent online community of news and commentary in 1995 by the dint and work of a giant in the conservative community, Edwin J. Fulner. Dr. Fulner passed away last week. Just as Town Hall was not inevitable, neither was the intellectual and puissant conservative movement as we know it and knew it. Ed Fulner was one of a handful that made it happen. His founding and leadership of the Heritage Foundation didn't make some difference in the conservative world. It made nearly all the difference. Heritage not only churned out copious white papers on serious policy issues, it hosted, gave classes, and jobs to conservative thinkers and writers. It shaped the Reagan administration's policies in the 1980s, and it brought untold tens of thousands of young conservatives into the fold of scholarship and hobnobbing with the constellation of important conservative writers and thinkers. Ed Fulner was one of our most important inventors and captains. May he rest in peace.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage. AM 560, The Answer.
Just a couple of postscripts on the Hunter Biden interview. Well, I mean, since we keep referring to his Clooney/Obama world rant as Lee Elia-esque, and since the Cubs have now fallen out of first place and they've got farther to fall, I mean, let's go back to the source material. The infamous Lee Elia rant against Chicago Cubs fans in '83. This is reminiscent of Hunter Biden ranting against his former friends, at least friends of convenience.
I'll tell you one thing. I hope we get hotter than just to stuff it up them 3,000 people that show up every day. Because if they're the real Chicago fans, they can kiss my ass right downtown and print it. They're really, really behind you around here. My ass. What the am I supposed to do? Go out there and let my players get destroyed every day and be quiet about it for the nickel-dime people that show up? The motherfuckers don't even work. That's why they're out at the game. They ought to go out and get a job and find out what it's like to go out there and a living. 85% of the world's working. The other 15 come out here. A playground for the Rip them motherfuckers. Rip them like the players. Got guys busting their ass and them people boo. And that's the Cubs? My ass.
I think the Cubs finished like 20 games out in '83 after that rant that was, I guess, supposed to be motivational. It's about the same trajectory as the Biden family's political and financial fortunes. There's a serious note here, though. I mean, don't forget that baby boy Hunter is the beneficiary of so many things from the big guy, including his freedom. And Jacob Sullivan has a good piece just reminding us of that over at Reason Magazine. Hunter Biden walks free while this Iowa man serves 4 years for the same crime. On December 1st, 2023, Alexander Ledvina was convicted of violating a federal law that bars illegal drug users from owning guns. Exactly a year later, Joe Biden pardoned his son Hunter for committing the same crime. Ledvina, a marijuana user who was 26 when he was arrested, sentenced to 4 years and 3 months in federal prison. Hunter Biden, by contrast, a middle-aged former crack user, safer than alcohol, so he says, faced up to 25 years in prison after he was convicted of illegal gun possession and 2 related firearm offenses, but thanks to father's intervention, he didn't suffer any criminal punishment at all, that is. Clearly illustrating the difference in justice. Hunter Biden's different. Now, he made the argument in that interview. Look, I can't, no matter what I do, I'm inextricably linked to the big guy. Well, I mean, yeah, your name is, and you shouldn't be punished for, being a politician's son or daughter, and you shouldn't necessarily be privileged, particularly when it comes to law enforcement. So there's that. He's a little bit, does a little bit of cherry picking in that interview when it comes to all of the slings and arrows he suffered because his last name is Biden, while he sort of glosses over all of the benefits that he has enjoyed because his last name is Biden. By the way, I know this was my former colleague's favorite hobby horse here. The out of wedlocker that Hunter had. And he wasn't paying child support, and the family wasn't recognizing her with the dancer, artist in her own right, down in Arkansas. Do we ever get? Are we one big happy family there in Wilmington now, or how's that going? So much in the annals of Hunter Biden to unpack. Coming up at 6:06, we will turn our attention to Russiagate Redux. That's 6:06. It is now 6 a.m. AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Iran's nuclear program is being rebuilt. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We cannot give up our enrichment.
Because Iran's foreign minister tells Fox's Brett Baer.
It is an achievement of our own scientists. And now, more than that, it is a question of national pride.
And Abbas Arachi also admitted to Fox the U.S. airstrikes a month ago, joining Israel attacking a nuclear program feared to be building weapons, caused damages that are very severe. They are destroyed, he said. President Trump was watching and then posted on Truth Social, of course they are, and we will do it again if necessary. Now, today, the president will host the leader of the Philippines for talks at the White House, discussing China and regional security and trade ahead of a looming 20% U.S. tariff on Filipino goods. Now, last week, the president gave Russia 50 days to work out a ceasefire with Ukraine, or he'd impose big tariffs on Russia's trading partners. Well, now a new round of talks is being planned.
These negotiations will take place in the same city where the last round failed to deliver a ceasefire, Istanbul, Turkey. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says they will begin on Wednesday. However, a Russian news agency, quoting a source, reported the talks would happen on Thursday and Friday. There's no official confirmation from the Kremlin.
Fox's Jonathan Savage, 33 months in prison is the sentence an ex-cop in Louisville, Kentucky got 5 years after a much-protested raid that left Breonna Taylor dead. Brett Hankinson was convicted of violating her civil rights for his role in the raid.
Hankinson did fire shots, but none were directly responsible for her death. As protesters called the sentence too short, Breonna Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, reacted.
I'm grateful for the judge for giving some time because we could have walked away with nothing according to what they recommended.
The U.S. Justice Department suggested only a single day in jail based on time served.
Well, that's Fox's Gernal Scott. The judge said that was inappropriate. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 68 degrees in Chicago. From the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom, I'm Bob Stevenson. A man who robbed a pizza delivery in Chicago's Rogers Park while wanted for murder downstate is headed to prison, but not for long. Kyle Esko got 6 years for the robbery and gun charges, but with time served and credits, he's expected to be released in September. Prominent Chicago defense attorney Thomas Durkin has died at 78 after a brief illness. Durkin spent decades fighting high-profile terrorism and fraud cases, and was known for his fierce advocacy and colorful personality. Friends say the longtime federal courthouse figure leaves behind a lasting legacy. Former ComEd CEO Anna Pramagori has been sentenced to 2 years in prison for her role in a bribery scheme to sway ex-Illinois House Speaker Mike Madigan. Pramagori maintains her innocence and plans to appeal to the Supreme Court if needed. Madigan, convicted in February, got 7.5 years. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is set to sign a new squatter bill aimed at helping homeowners remove unwanted squatters faster. The law skips the long eviction process and lets police clear squatters more quickly. Lawmakers say squatters have been taking over vacant homes all across our state. 3 people were shot Monday afternoon in Riverdale near 138th and Atlantic. Police say they found the victims after reports of over 15 gunshots in a car crash behind a laundromat. Witnesses say 2 cars may have been shooting at each other. Police are still investigating. And it was another violent weekend in Chicago. At least 28 people were shot and 6 killed. Victims include a woman found dead early Friday on South St. Lawrence, a 17-year-old boy shot Friday night, and 3 men killed in separate attacks across the city. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it is possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again.
If you've ever wanted to meet Larry Elder, Hugh Hewitt, Mike Gallagher, or Charlie Kirk, now's your chance. It's AM 560's Terrific Talkers VIP Experience Contest. Enter today for a chance to meet your favorite host and sit in on a live broadcast. The grand prize includes airfare and 3 nights of accommodations. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/VIP. That's 560theanswer.com/VIP.
Living with everyday pain is like having a voice that always says, no, you can't do that. No, you better sit this one out. It's no way to live. So if pain is affecting you, see how Relief Factor can help get you back to life on your terms. One where you say yes a lot more. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor's unique formula of natural ingredients does not just mask pain, it helps reduce or eliminate it for good. Whether it's your back, neck, joints, or muscles, Relief Factor can help you, as it has for so many others. So call 1-800-4RELIEF and give Relief Factor's 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day to get your life back. Just go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. And see how you can say yes to more of everything you want.
My friend Paula just remodeled her kitchen. I feel bad. It's so bland.
Yeah. Everyone's using the same templated designs these days or just refacing cabinets.
Let's check out Forever Remodeling. They do full and custom kitchen remodels from the ground up, just for us.
It'd be nice to have a kitchen that's truly ours.
Exactly.
Don't get the same kitchen design as everyone else. Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Take a look at your drive on the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic, a service of Fox Valley Coins. On the Edens inbound, Lake Cook to Montrose, a 14-minute ride. 13 minutes outbound, Edens, Montrose to Lake Cook. On the Kennedy inbound, O'Hare to Burn Interchange, an 18-minute ride. On the Kennedy outbound, Burn Interchange to O'Hare, 23 minutes. You're slower outbound between Lake Street and Chicago Avenue. On the Eisenhower inbound, Jane Addams to the Old Post Office, you're looking at 26 minutes. A 29-minute ride on the Eisenhower outbound, Old Post Office to Jane Addams. You're slower outbound near East Avenue. On the Stevenson inbound, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, a 32-minute ride. You're heavy on the approach of the inbound Dan Ryan ramp. And on the Stevenson outbound, Lakeshore Drive to 355, 21 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound, you're crash-free between 95th and the Burn Interchange and a 12-minute ride. Same story for the Dan Ryan outbound, Burn Interchange to 95th, 12 minutes. I'm KT, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today will bring partial sunshine with a high of 89. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with warm and humid conditions and a low of 73. Tomorrow will feature times of sun and clouds with a high reaching 95. Thursday will be sunny to partly cloudy and hot, also with a high of 95. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and we got a lot to get to here now that a back and forth has occurred per Tulsi Gabbard's declassification and release of intel surrounding Russiagate, the Russian collusion hoax. Her words, Tulsi's, the coup, or the attempted coup. This is what she had to say.
President Obama calls a meeting of his National Security Council, his top officials, to be held on what they called a sensitive topic. And the results of that meeting, which we released yesterday, and these over 100 documents that talk about in detail how President Obama and his team, he directed a manufactured piece of intelligence that detailed not if, but how Russia tried to influence the outcome of the United States election that President Trump won in November of 2016. This document was then used as the foundation for everything that came next. It was essentially a years-long coup that was launched against President Trump before he even had the opportunity to take his oath of office and be sworn in as President of the United States. So,
excuse me, and the declassified information. We've got a timeline. Again, August 31st of 2016, Homeland Security official tells former National Intelligence Director James Clap on, Clap off, James Clapper, that there was, quote, no indication of a Russian threat to directly manipulate the actual vote count. That's a quote. No indication of a Russian threat to directly manipulate the actual vote count. Now, we'll get to the response from neo-Marxists over the weekend and into yesterday, because they are parsing this Russian election interference language. So just hang on. So that's August 31st. September 2nd of 2016, the FBI requests for the whistleblower's pre-election assessment on alleged Russian election activity in an upcoming pre-election intelligence estimate to be softened, quote, softened is a quote, given the FBI was uncomfortable implying that there was definitive information that Russia does intend to disrupt our elections. So FBI, DNI, DHS all seem to be aligned in terms of resisting the conclusion that Russia intended to or was actively attempting to manipulate or interfere with the 2016 election. But just fast forward, then we come to December 7th of 2016. The IC, Intelligence Community, is working on a new presidential daily briefing examining the potential impact of cyber hacks on the election results. Clapper's office develops talking points based on the IC's findings, including to be included in their presidential daily bulletin. Foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks and election infrastructure to alter the U.S. presidential election outcome. We have no evidence of cyber manipulation of election infrastructure intended to alter results. That was December 7th, so after Trump wins. And that was the intelligence community's finding on Russia. Election infrastructure, no attempt to alter the results. December 8th, the IC, intelligence community officials discussed the draft bulletin, which finds Russian and criminal actors did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting malicious cyber activities against election infrastructure. And the group decides that the bulletin will be published the following day due to high administration interest. That's a quote. A few hours later, after initially co-authoring the daily bulletin, the FBI withdraws from coordinating on the product, notifies the intelligence community officials that were material to putting together this bulletin that the FBI will be drafting a dissent. Then fast forward to December 9th, the Obama White House gathers top cabinet officials for a National Security Council Principals Committee meeting. Clapper, Brennan, Susan Rice, John Kerry, why the long face, Brian McKeon, Loretta Lynch, Andy McCabe, Avril Haines, among those in attendance. After the meeting, an email entitled POTUS Tasking on Russian Election Meddling, Clapper's assistant sends an email to all the leaders, tasking them with creation of an assessment per the president's request. That's a quote. And the director of national intelligence leads the effort along with the alphabet soup, intel, law enforcement agencies, CIA, FBI, NSA, DHS. And that's when it changes. And so here's the explanation that you're getting from, well, first, John Brennan himself. I'm mashing them up. James Comey, John Brennan. Well, they are sort of a two-headed monster, aren't they? This is Brennan's characterization of Gabbard's disclosure and the timeline that she lays out with, direct quotes from materials that have been declassified.
Here we are again, Nicole. It is unsurprising yet very
Wallace,
troubling and very dangerous, as Representative Hines said, that the person who leads our intelligence community today would put out something like this that just mischaracterizes and misrepresents in a wholesale manner what the intelligence community did during the 2016 run-up to the presidential election. Again, the misrepresentations just are ludicrous. When I read through the material, it reminded me of sort of a third-rate lawyer who realizes she got nothing to defend her client and is going to put together an absurd brief that's laughable on its face, because anybody who looks at the intelligence community assessment and the work that was done will see that it was very carefully worded, meticulously done, and it stands up to scrutiny in time. As you pointed out, there have been numerous reviews about it, and it didn't say any of the things that Tulsi Gabbard alleges it said or didn't say. And I really do encourage people to read it, because it was very clear in terms of what it said, that the Russians were using at President Putin's direction influence operations to try to denigrate Hillary Clinton, try to increase the prospects for Donald Trump's election, and also just to undermine the integrity of our election system. And again, those were the primary judgments. Again, they are ones that certainly I and others who are involved continue to stand behind.
It's sort of a general response, and what Brennan is good at doing is using moral indignation to cover for his moral turpitude. He does it all the time. And he gives sort of the general answers describing his interpretation of things or providing characterization of his behavior, always in the public interest, always heroic. And anyone questioning him is doing something that's dangerous, doing something that saddens him because he's so concerned about the country. That's sort of the framework that he provides for every answer. Actually, Molly Hemingway had another good example of this with respect to how Brennan operates. This was in his book, and she excerpted from his book. I missed this from Brennan's book, and this was a meeting with McConnell. McConnell, from a passage from Brennan's book. Take a listen. McConnell entered the conference room with his usual poker face and sat down at the table. This is Brennan writing. Okay, what's up, he said. I walked through the same points I had used in my other sessions, highlighting the fact that the Russian activities were ongoing and that the CIA, FBI, and NSA were attempting to uncover the full range of Russian intelligence operations. When I concluded, McConnell stared at me and said dryly, quote, one might say that the CIA and the Obama administration are making such claims in order to prevent Donald Trump from getting elected president, unquote. Good instincts from McConnell. Whatever you think of McConnell, he smelled this one out. Brennan writes, I was completely gobsmacked by his comment. Here was the Republican leader of the Senate dismissing intelligence delivered personally by the director of the CIA, me, about Russian interference in a presidential election that was only 2 months away. By suggesting the CIA was part of the plot by the Democrats to win the presidential election, McConnell showed his own strongly partisan political instincts. I could feel myself getting mad, but I suppressed a very strong urge to tell him in very colorful terms what I thought of his offensive comment. Right. Okay, John. Yeah, sure. I know. The hi-hat. The hi-hat from John Brennan. You get the same thing with Jim Comey. Jim Comey is Elliot Ness. And John Brennan is, similarly disposed. They are always acting selflessly, always with the country's best interests in mind. Everything they did is beyond reproach, no matter the conclusions drawn based on the evidence obtained. And that's just the way they sort of, with the help of people like Nicole Wallace and MSNBC, that's how they skate around getting specific. Okay, so there's Brennan. Now, Jim Himes, who's a Dem rep from Greenwich on the House Intel Committee, was on Face the Nation over the weekend. And he said that this is the real approach that they've decided to take in terms of taking the language that we just went through in pertinent part and parsing it. It's nothing new here. The memos don't say what Tulsi Gabbard says they say. Take a listen.
Absolutely none, Margaret. What you saw from the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was not just a lie, but a very dangerous lie, because when you start throwing around language like sedition and treason, somebody's going to get hurt. Now, you pointed out that the Senate committee, then led by Marco Rubio, a Republican and now Secretary of State, found unanimously that Russia meddled in the election to try to assist Donald Trump. John Durham, special counsel appointed by Donald Trump, investigated this, found that the Senate report was correct. Now, what Tulsi is doing, it's a little sleight of hand, but it's worth focusing on. She is saying that the Intelligence Committee early on said that the Russians could not use cyber tools to mess with the voting infrastructure, the machines that tally our votes. And that was true then, and it is true now. Though the Russians tried to break into a couple of states, election technical infrastructure, they didn't do it. But it is well known and well established that the Russians hacked into the DNC and undertook any number of other influence operations, including buying reams of Facebook ads to discredit Hillary Clinton. That is not in contention, right? And what is horrifying about this whole lie out of Gabbard is, number one, it puts people at risk. And right now, the mouth breathers on MAGA online are just going out of their minds based on a lie. And number two, the intelligence community is full of very, very good people who do their jobs every single day. And now they're watching their leader do something that each and every one of them knows is dishonest. And it is a really, really bad thing for the safety and security of the American people when that dynamic is out there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Sad and dangerous. Get that again. Okay. That's part of the talking point. But the underlying argument that he makes, parsing, it wasn't just a concern about compromising election infrastructure and manipulating ballot tabulation, you see. It was also that vaunted Facebook campaign that they ran, the most successful Facebook campaign in social media history. But so that's what they're saying. So it's we know this. That was something very specific about election infrastructure, but it didn't necessarily contemplate all of the other ways the Russians were attempting to influence the election and, of course, colluding with Trump while doing it. But they're rewriting history. Jim Himes is, and the rest of them. A good write-up on this from Matt Taibbi over at his outlet, the Racket. 2 points he makes in response to Himes that are on point. Had the intelligence community gone forward with the presidential daily briefing that said Russia had not attacked infrastructure in a way, quote, intended to alter results, unquote, that's from the memo, it would have been seen by a key audience. Donald Trump. Remember, that's December 9th, 2016, after the election, before he takes office. Presidents-elect are entitled to read presidential daily briefings. During the transition, Trump's National Security Advisor, Michael Flynn, was already being read in and would have seen the planned December 9th text downplaying Russian interference. Flynn says now, I would have seen it. I was reading the presidential daily briefings at that point. And this is why they held back the draft. This is why you had that DHS official, theoretically. This is why you had the DNI official, intervene as he did to before the did not impact memo, which I think is a pretty good handle for it, the did not impact memo reached the public. And had it reached Trump and Flynn, it most certainly would have reached the public. That's an important point. The other point, the notion that Russia interfered with actual vote tallies was no fringe conspiracy theory then. It was widely believed by Democratic voters, starting with Hillary Clinton, well, believed or propagated. It still is. Taibbi writes, that was almost certainly a consequence of a two-stage process that began with a flood of news stories based on leaks from intel sources beginning on December 9th of 2016. These not only allege Russia interfered to help Donald Trump in an abrupt about-face from the pre-election stories, but focus heavily on Russian hacking. Within a week, by December 16th of 2016, Hillary Clinton was publicly calling the election unfair, not free, illegitimate, adding this is what she said to the New York Times at that point, all predicated by this manipulation of the presidential daily briefing and the intel behind it.
Vladimir Putin himself directed the covert cyber attacks against our electoral system, against our democracy, apparently because he has a personal beef against me.
So, according to Hillary Clinton, a week after this 11th hour alteration of the intel memo is made, she's out saying exactly the opposite of what you just heard from Representative Jim Himes this weekend on Face the Nation. That Vladimir Putin himself directed it. Cyber attack. Personal beef with her. Benefiting Donald Trump, obviously. She was saying benefiting Donald Trump. I mean, do we really need to flash back this? Yeah, I guess we do, because, of course, so many people are siloed with the information they're willing to consume. Hillary Clinton, I mean, there are so many examples of this, but I'll pick one. Hillary Clinton with Jane Pauley on CBS Sunday Morning in 2019, 3 years removed from the election. This is what she's saying about Trump and the election.
A line. I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows that there were a bunch of different reasons why the election turned out the way it did. And I take responsibility for those parts of it that I should. But Jane, it was like applying for a job and getting 66 million letters of recommendation and losing to a corrupt human tornado. And so I know that he knows that this wasn't on the level. I don't know that we'll ever know everything that happened, but clearly we know a lot and are learning more every day, and history will probably sort it all out.
What is the clear implication of that statement? Yeah, he was installed by Putin. I mean, I was making light of this for years because they were carrying on for years, basically saying that he was the Manchurian candidate for the Russians, that he's Vlad's man in D.C. And now they're suggesting, well, it wasn't just the question of attacking election infrastructure. It was these other ancillary issues. No. The principle, Hillary Clinton says just the opposite, and she did so in real time back then. You can't walk away from it. I mean, you could try, but it's not going to work. Shouldn't work. I know they're trying. They have to come over the top. They have to demagogue this because they're trying to chill any sort of prosecution of anybody. Of course, this is a den of thieves we're talking about. They're all in it together, so they've got to protect each other. Sort of we hang together or we hang separately. Sort of moment for these people. Something else. Just going back to August of 2016, Lee Smith reminds us in a very good piece that he did over at Tablet, which I posted yesterday on X. According to Brennan's handwritten notes, in August of 2016, at a meeting at the White House, he briefed Obama and other U.S. officials, including then AG Loretta Lynch, then FBI Director James Comey, about the Clinton plan intelligence. The notes claim that his notes claim that he alerted them to the, quote, alleged approval by Hillary Clinton on July 26th of a proposal from one of her foreign policy advisors to vilify Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by Russian security services. Current CIA Director Ratcliffe declassified those notes in late September 2020. He also declassified a second Clinton plan intelligence document that John Durham found during his investigation, the special prosecutor, dated September 7th. But the interesting thing is, virtually no one, this is Lee Smith's reporting, virtually no one working on FBI's Trump-Russia investigation, Crossfire Hurricane, saw the CIA memo. According to Durham's reports, none of the FBI personnel who agreed to be interviewed could specifically recall this referral memo, nor did anyone recall the FBI doing anything in response to the referral memo. So so one wonders openly whether once this started to unravel, if Brennan went back and manufactured a note to provide some behind covering for him that he was doing this after having briefed all the principals. You know, whatever we do from this point forward, I briefed all the principals, so don't blame me, blame the shot callers. According to the Durham report, Comey and Obama's director of DNI, his DNI, I should say, Director of National Intelligence, Clapper, briefed on the Clinton plan intelligence. But there's no evidence that Brennan, Comey, Clapper, or any other Obama official included the Clinton plan intelligence in any of their pre-election briefings on Russian interference to Senate and House leadership and oversight committees. It's clear why, writes Lee Smith, the Clinton plan intelligence was buried and why none of the FBI officials Durham interviewed had seen the CIA referral memo. It exposed Russiagate as a hoax, despite the broad pre-election media campaign insisting otherwise, including leaks from U.S. officials falsely alleging Trump's ties to Russia. After the election, given the outcome, the CIA referral memo posed an even greater threat, writes Smith. It gave evidence of a conspiracy involving the top leadership of the American intelligence community, including at least Brennan, Clapper, and Comey, whose FBI investigated Trump as a Russian spy, even though the FBI director was made aware that it was a dirty trick. And in conclusion, in his piece, Lee Smith notes, it is worth noting that the only genuine piece of Russian intelligence U.S. spy services ever received during the Trump-Russia probe was intelligence that Russia knew the Clinton campaign was behind the effort to dirty Trump as a Russian agent. That's the only piece of Russian intel, that Clinton was going to try to illicitly tie Trump to Russia. Smith opines it seems appropriate that Russian intelligence may lead to the prosecution and conviction of Brennan and the intelligence officials responsible for the biggest political scandal in U.S. history. Well, that would be justice. Antonio in Bolingbrook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, sir. Well, Representative Himes, a bunch of holes in his story. First of all, Durham was not appointed by Trump. He was appointed by Barr, covering up for. Yeah, right. Number two was Marco Rubio was not the head of the Intel Committee. He was not. Number three was that it's never, ever been proven. It's actually proven otherwise that Russia hacked anything. The DNC, nothing. Even CrowdStrike came out and said, no, we didn't even investigate the servers. The FBI admitted they never even touched the servers, never really looked into it. It was just some script that they decided it was Kucherfer 2.0. So everything he said is a lie.
Thanks for the call, Antonio. Well, Mike Davis from Article 3, the Article 3 Project, former clerk for Gorsuch when he was on the appellate court. Mike Davis encapsulated it thusly, including talking about, this bipartisan Senate Intel report. Oh, it's bipartisan, so Republicans were wrong. Some Republicans were wrong. Republicans that were running around saying Trump is a Russian asset, they were wrong. Is it possible for Republicans and Democrats, some of them, to be wrong? Sure it is.
You had President Obama and then Vice President Joe Biden and Clapper and Comey and Brennan and so many other goons make up the Russian collusion hoax. They worked with the Hillary's campaign, the DNC, the Steele dossier, You had Perkins Coie law firm. You made up the Steele dossier. You made up the Russian collusion hoax. You said you were lying. You said that the Trump and his campaign were colluding with the Russians to steal the 2016 election. You fed this to the FISA court as bogus evidence. So you lied to the FISA court. You got an illegal spy warrant from this federal court. You spied on then presidential candidate Donald Trump. You continued to spy on Donald Trump when he was the president of the United States. You used his own FBI and his own CIA and other intel agencies to hobble his presidency. I remember when I went to the Senate Judiciary Committee at the beginning of his administration in 2017, and everyone was running around, including Senate Republicans, saying that Trump is a Russian asset because of this Russian collusion hoax. They destroyed his many parts of his first term. Now, it was still wildly successful.
Yeah, and as Taibbi concludes in his piece, just like push away the bloviations to some extent on both sides. The Guy Fawkes themed Truth Social post that went viral because, of course, Trump posted it. There's a simple moment here, and it's December 9th. Taibbi writing, the meeting on December 9th that switched out a tepid presidential daily bulletin for a dramatic narrative about Russian interference to help Trump was hugely meaningful. It positioned Steele dossier conclusions as mainstream news, set up Trump to be investigated by his own incoming FBI director, and made sure the incoming administration did not see dissenting intelligence about Russian meddling. That is hugely meaningful. And it was completely invented, and it was knowingly, falsely perpetuated by those principles of said alphabet soup agencies. And so was it a failed coup attempt? Was it treason? I'll be interested to see what the DOJ concludes. Coming up at 6:36, big weekend in the WNBA. You don't get to say that very often. We'll cover that in our latest edition of Sports and Politics at 6:36. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 69 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom, I'm Bob Stevenson. A shocking discovery in Waukegan. Federal agents arrested an undocumented immigrant accused of hiding a missing woman's body in a bleach container. Jose Mendoza Gonzalez was charged in April but released under Illinois' Safety Act. ICE agents picked him up again this past weekend. The victim, Megan Boz, vanished in March. Yesterday, we passed 6 months for President Trump in office.
The stock market is reaching record highs, the White House calling it proof 6 months in, Maganomics is working. Now, some of President Trump's allies want more growth faster as they pressure the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates as soon as possible. Florida Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna is the latest lawmaker to criticize Chairman Jerome Powell. Luna wants Powell prosecuted. Powell has yet to respond to Luna's claims, but last week defended the renovations, writing Fed buildings are, quote, in need of significant structural repairs.
This news is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again.
Don't take it lightly.
You've got all hell breaking loose there between Elon and President Trump. He wants to form a third party? And I got people in my life saying, it's never going to get off the ground. Don't be so sure. This guy's a massively influential person. Are you kidding me? With just ignoring this? This is not an insignificant guy.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
We couldn't decide if we needed in-home care for Dad.
Right. Just some help here and there with bathing, organizing his meds, a walk through the neighborhood.
Oh, exactly. But everywhere we looked, we had a 4-hour minimum. It was more care than he needed. And it didn't make sense to spend extra for it.
Then we found Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. No minimum hours. We were shocked.
Now a caregiver stops by once or twice a week for just an hour or two to help with the small things that make a big difference.
And Mom loves the visits. It's not just help. It's companionship.
At Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, we understand that not every family needs round-the-clock care. We serve DuPage, Cook, Kane, Kendall, and Will counties. We conduct free in-home assessments and we guarantee compatibility. Call Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest today at 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
Your manufacturing production is only as good as your manufacturing team.
Monarch makes you better, plain and simple. They do an excellent job at recruiting the right people, qualified, experienced top talent that improve productivity.
Monarch Technical Services has been leading the Chicago staffing industry for manufacturing and engineering since 1987.
Their vetting process is bang on, and their payment terms show just how dedicated to helping they are. You have 6 months to pay the finder's fee, and if for any reason the candidate leaves, the fee ends. Simple.
Monarch's payment terms allow you to make sure employees fit in before fees are paid in full. It's a working partnership that works.
If you're growing your manufacturing team, trust me, call Monarch Technical Services.
Monarch meets every candidate in person to interview and test for specific skills and assesses experience by using blueprint, shop math, part measurement, and CNC program exams. Call 847-342-1221. That's 847-342-1221. Or visit monarchtechnical.com.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
When you speed, you have less time to react. Follow the speed limit to keep other road users safe. Speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic, a service of ExpressPros.com. On the Edens inbound, Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. A 13-minute ride outbound, Montrose to Lake Cook. On the Kennedy inbound, O'Hare to Burn Interchange, 28 minutes. A 31-minute ride on the Kennedy outbound, Burn Interchange to O'Hare. Eisenhower inbound, Jane Addams to Old Post Office. You're looking at 33 minutes. A 31-minute ride on the Eisenhower outbound, Old Post Office to Jane Addams. On the Stevenson inbound from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 26 minutes. And the outbound Stevenson, Lakeshore Drive to 355, 22 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound between 95th and Burn Interchange, 13 minutes and a 10-minute ride. Dan Ryan outbound Burn Interchange to 95th. Is it time for a new job? Then it's time for Express Employment Professionals. Quit the endless online job search. Enlist with the pros. Let a local recruiter from one of their 870 locations help. And Express never charges job seekers a fee. Go to expresspros.com. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today will bring partial sunshine with a high of 89. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with warm and humid conditions and a low of 73. Tomorrow will feature times of sun and clouds with a high reaching 95. Thursday will be sunny to partly cloudy and hot, also with a high of 95. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Yeah, our latest installment of Sports and Politics. We are compelled to cover the WNBA. Somebody has to. Over the weekend, they had their All-Star game, I came to find out. And I saw that a bunch of the players, including one Caitlin Clark wearing "Pay Us What You Owe Us" T-shirts. Pay us what you owe us. Dick Vitale, by the way, weighed in and said, absolutely, because of Caitlin Clark's impact on the league, WNBA should be paying more. I mean, Caitlin Clark, I guess, only makes, like per the collective bargaining agreement, makes like less than $80,000 a year right now. Well, what the market will bear, pay us what you owe us. This is eerily reminiscent of the that Megan Rapinoe and the U.S. women's soccer team, when they did the same sort of identitarian extortion game with the whatever the governing body is in soccer to get salary parity with the men, even though they don't generate anywhere near the revenue. In the WNBA's case, it's it really takes some balls, which many WNBA players may or may not have. Because the WNBA has never made any money. Some estimates put it at losing $50 million a year as a league, and it's subsidized by the NBA, and it's subsidized by the fact that they get some TV time because of their relationship as a dependent on the NBA. Pay us what you owe us. The other thing about that, what you owe. I'm sorry, do we have a collective bargaining agreement in place? You have a union. We negotiated a deal. What do you mean what we owe you? I don't know what that means. It's a little disappointing because Caitlin Clark had an opportunity to be her own person in the league. And yet it seems that more times than not, she's just folding in. I understand she's under a lot of pressure. A lot of girls in the league don't like her, and they're being mean to her, and so on and so forth. But I don't know. That's not the way Jordan did it. That's not the way the greats do it. It's just fold in with the lowest common denominator to keep the peace. Pay us what you owe us. The ingratitude of it all, really. It's very much like that word that I was taught by Milton Friedman to remove from my vocabulary: deserve. As he famously said, deserve. Who deserves what? It's a very dangerous word. As Friedman said, thank God we don't get what we deserve. All of us. Pay us what you owe us. Oh, and then there was a little controversy, I understand, during the All-Star game. At halftime, the commentary from the commentators, Elle Duncan, is that her name? I believe so. She noted there was a lack of defense in the first half, and she offered this colorful simile, which drew a lot of criticism.
All right. Well, again, we hope it gets a little bit more competitive because, like a girls' trip to Cancun right now, there's no D.
I mean, honestly, I didn't get it at first. I had to stick it. Like a girls' trip to Cancun right now, there's no D. And this was seen as crude or... does everybody get it? I can explain it if you compel me to. 312-642-5600, turnkey.branch line and text line. Marty in Naperville.
Hey, I got a question, Dan. I play in a local cover band. Why aren't I making as much as Paul McCartney's going to make? I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. So, yeah.
Right. You play the same songs. Who's to say who's better? The fans. Well, that's one way to do it. Mainly the reason I brought up this manufactured controversy over Elle Duncan's, slightly bawdy comment. I mean, good grief. They're trying to generate controversy to generate interest. This is sort of the same thing I see with that, what's her name? Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark rivalry. We got to figure out a rivalry here. Angel Reese maybe sees an opportunity. I don't know. Maybe she's being encouraged to seize an opportunity. You know, you're going to be the bad girl and she's going to be the good girl, and they're going to have this rivalry, and maybe that generates interest. But then you actually have to watch the underlying product, and that's where the problem comes in. As the late, great Norm Macdonald famously observed from the SNL Weekend Update desk.
After closing out a successful first season, the WNBA is considering several changes to improve the level of play in the league next year. Among the proposals, extending the playoffs, increasing salaries, bringing back the three-point line, and replacing all the female players with guys. The WNBA officials expanded to 10 teams this week, adding franchises in Detroit and Washington, D.C. But before you get too excited about the new additions to the league, remember, all of the players are still women. They stink at basketball. That's the problem. Other than that, it'd be a good, good game, but they're all horrible, so it makes for a kind of a boring game.
The muted laughter from the SNL audience, uncomfortable, because it's, even back then, it wasn't politically correct, but it's pretty funny. Michael, Southside.
Good morning, Dan. Welcome back, and thank you for taking my call. One of the arguments that I read online was totally insane. The people are arguing that the increased valuations of the teams justifies increased salaries for the women. And I was thinking, that's totally ridiculous. That doesn't necessarily translate into more money, and those valuations are inflated.
Well, you know how much the Chicago Sky is worth? Whatever somebody is willing to pay for it. So go to market, if you want to find a true valuation, or if you want to find a market clearing price. But I mean, that it's absurd. But even then, it's like they do this. Workers of the world unite, and our union this and our union that. Your union negotiated a deal. You voted up the deal. Now live by the deal. Simple.
Oh, absolutely. Same thing with Scottie Pippen negotiated the deal with the Bulls. He complained about it afterward, but he had to live with it.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah. Thanks for the call. Michael, you don't think I've got complaints with my deal here at AM 560? Yeah, but hey, I negotiate. I personally did. And so everybody's got to live up to the terms. And then when that deal expires, then you talk about a new deal or not. I love these. We just exempt ourselves from the commitments we made because they're no longer fun. I've decided I deserve X and Y and Z. Okay, well, make your case for what you think you deserve when your contract's up. How about that? James in Westmont.
Good morning, Dan. I think also, if I'm not mistaken, isn't the WWE also has another, like a three-way relationship with a third party where also shares in the revenue?
What third party? I don't know.
It's like another third. It's a third group of investors that also own a piece of the WNBA along with the NBA, and then the owners of. Oh
yeah, maybe, yeah.
I believe that's the case, and so that's another reason why the revenue share, or that's why one of the reasons among the other reasons you mentioned that their salary is so low, because everybody has to share now. There's like so many pieces of the pie that's going out, so. There's not a lot left, and more importantly, there's not a lot coming in.
Well, yeah. Thanks for the call, James. I mean, the fundamental problem, it seems to me, is the reports of losing $50 million a year as a league. Would you like to distribute the losses too? Joe in Hoffman Estates.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Dan. Good to hear you. I love your show. Technically, no one really told these people they have to take this job. I mean, they could always go be a waitress somewhere, number one. And number two is, Wouldn't they technically have to come up with a couple $100,000 each to cover the loss instead of looking for more money?
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Joe.
And at the top of the second half, it's 16-9. Easton leads the scoring with 4.
And that's why she commands $7,000 a year. These gals sure do make it look difficult.
But is having this minor skill worth being so unattractive? That's for the fan to decide. Yay!
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609. 800-422-1609. 800-422-1609. Or simply visit godra.com.
You know what really keeps me up at night? It's the criminals feel more and more bold. They have no fear of any consequences because there are none. So I did what anyone with a family should do. I called Goldilocks. They're not just some cookie-cutter security company. Goldilocks has been protecting Chicagoland homes and businesses for 4 decades, 40 years. And they actually listen. Their technician comes out to the house. He takes a look at what you need to make your house a smart home with a security system you can monitor from anywhere. It's built specifically for me and my family. Motion sensors, smart locks, cameras, monitoring, all customized. I don't trust anybody in Illinois to protect my family. I do it, and I did it by calling Goldilocks. I trust Goldilocks to keep my house, my property, and my family safe. Tell them Sean Thompson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months free monitoring with any new installation. Call Goldilocks at 708-899-5600. That's 708-899-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
You know what that sound means. It means it's time for In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world, just the history you don't know, and Frank does. Frank, take it away.
Good morning. I was up at a beach on a lake in Wisconsin recently, and although I didn't take a picture of it or post it to Instagram, I noticed a bunch of seashells and rocks in a pattern. Specifically, they were arranged as the equation $3.49 minus $2.96. Rather intricate, but I thought, wow, what a clever political message done by someone with flair who wanted to protest the exorbitant gas taxes in Illinois, brought to us all by Governor Pritzker and our completely out-of-touch state legislature. Right now at 48.3 cents a gallon, up from 19 cents in 2018. These taxes are allegedly for highway upgrades and bridge repair. And maybe that's true, but we're all bone-weary of the ongoing 7-year expansion of I-294, which is beginning to resemble Boston's Big Dig, another Keynesian boondoggle, brought to us by Tip O'Neill that took over 15 years to complete. Frederick III Hohenzollern, King of Prussia, after being defeated at the Battle of Jena and then betrayed by Tsar Alexander I at the Treaty of Tilsit in 1807, lost half of his territory. In response, he said of Napoleon, "That monster, choked out of hell, formed by Beelzebub to be the scorching of the earth." Now, I don't get the sense many of our politicians today are capable of such rhetoric, and certainly not our own JB, who's at 2% in the presidential polls, despite his billions. He's more vulnerable here in Illinois than everyone thinks, as both his hysterical reaction to the doorbell ad in 2022 and his incoherent congressional testimony showed. He truly is an intellectual invertebrate, once outside his own protective seashell, the media. Hopefully the Illinois GOP has the brain cells to find and fund a candidate to take on and defeat Illinois' latest aristocratic juggernaut. Stranger things have happened in American politics.
Very good, as always, Frank. And, boy, I was not expecting a Tsar Alexander I impersonation today. But you're all full of surprises.
Well, that was actually Frederick William III.
Oh, yes. Sorry, he betrayed by Tsar Alexander. I'm sorry. Yes, Frederick William III Hohenzollern. I wasn't expecting an impersonation of him either.
Well, that's got an umlaut. You got to go Hohenzollern.
Well, that's
how you say it.
That's why you're the master impressionist and I am not. By the way, the 294 expansion, over under the Burn interchange. What do you think?
I'd say 2029. I'm going to take the over.
Okay.
They just keep going. So it's pathetic. I have to drive that every day. Nuts.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's brutal driving around here, just generally speaking. All right, Frank. Thank you as always. Send me the final copy so that I can post on X for those fans of Frank from Arlington Heights to enjoy. Appreciate it. Coming up at 7:07, we return to the failed coup called Russiagate. Jim Gagliano, retired FBI supervisory special agent, joins us at 7:07. It's now time to check the headlines because it's 7 o'clock at AM 560 WIND Chicago.
The King family isn't happy about it. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 200,000 plus pages of newly declassified files about Martin Luther King Jr. sent to the National Archives 57 years after his assassination. Fox's Jared Halpern's at the White House.
President Trump has promised to release long-held government files on King, as well as the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert F. Kennedy. A 1977 court order kept the MLK records sealed, and King's two living children opposed their release, urging the files be viewed within their full historical context.
Well, King's daughter Bernice, who was 5 years old when he was murdered, posted on X, "Now do the Epstein files," referencing the still simmering controversy over Jeffrey Epstein, who committed suicide in jail awaiting trial for sex trafficking underage girls. Trump supporters have angered the president, continuing to demand all the files be released as they doubt an FBI conclusion Epstein did not leave behind a list of well-known clients. President Trump calls it a hoax perpetrated by Democrats. We just heard this morning from the Justice Department saying they plan to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted for her role in helping Epstein. Fox's Ryan Schmelz reports from the Capitol.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says a bipartisan resolution calling for the release of documents related to the case that landed Jeffrey Epstein behind bars will not get a vote before the August recess.
My belief is we need the administration to have the space to do what it is doing. If further congressional action is necessary or appropriate, then we'll look at that. But I don't think we're at that point right now.
A month after the U.S. joined Israel attacking Iran's nuclear program feared to be building weapons, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi tells Fox's Brett Baer,
"Our facilities have been damaged, seriously damaged."
But at the same time, the foreign minister says that Iran will continue to enrich uranium. They cannot give up that nuclear fuel. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 71 degrees in Chicago. From the AM 560, The Answer Newsroom, I'm Bob Stevenson. A Waukegan man is back in federal custody after police say he hid a missing woman's body in a bleach container in his yard. Jose Mendoza Gonzalez was freed under Illinois' Safe T Act after his April arrest, but was picked up again by ICE over the weekend. Megan Boz vanished in March. Her body showed no signs of foul play. A Tinley Park man is now jailed in Chicago, charged with murdering a concealed carry holder during an argument outside a Gresham party. Prosecutors say Isian McGinnis shot Angelo Seabrook 16 times last May. Seabrook's gun was still holstered. McGinnis fled to Nebraska but was extradited and ordered held without bond. 3 people were shot yesterday afternoon in Riverdale near 138th and Atlantic. Witnesses say more than 15 shots were fired during a rolling shootout between 2 cars. One crashed behind a laundromat. A large police presence remains, but no arrests yet. It's still unclear what sparked that violence. A 2-year-old boy is recovering after being shot inside a Lawndale home last night. Chicago police say the child found an unsecured gun in a bedroom and suffered a wrist graze wound. He's in good condition at Stroger Hospital. Detectives are investigating. No one's in custody as of yet. Chicago is moving ahead with its first affordable housing complex designed for Native Americans. The Irving Park project will offer 45 apartments, each with a balcony for cultural practices like burning sage. City leaders say it'll serve multi-generational families when it opens next fall. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is set to sign a new squatter bill aimed at helping homeowners remove unwanted squatters faster. That law skips the long eviction process, lets police clear squatters more quickly. This news is service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew anytime, anywhere, any place. When you need to move your shipment or your freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com.
If you've ever wanted to meet Larry Elder, Hugh Hewitt, Mike Gallagher, or Charlie Kirk, now's your chance. It's AM 560's Terrific Talkers VIP Experience Contest. Enter today for a chance to meet your favorite host and sit in on a live broadcast. The grand prize includes airfare and 3 nights of accommodations. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/VIP. That's 560theanswer.com/VIP. Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions and you'll destroy your life. Listen to The Flot Line with Rick Hughes this Sunday morning at 7. The Flot Line describes a main line of resistance in your soul built on God's Word. Listen this Sunday for inspiration, motivation, education, all without manipulation. That's The Flot Line with Rick Hughes this Sunday morning at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
Living with everyday pain is like having a voice that always says, no, you can't do that. No, you better sit this one out. It's no way to live. So if pain is affecting you, see how Relief Factor can help get you back to life on your terms. One where you say yes a lot more. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor's unique formula of natural ingredients does not just mask pain, it helps reduce or eliminate it for good. Whether it's your back, neck, joints, or muscles, Relief Factor can help you, as it has for so many others. So call 1-800-4RELIEF and give Relief Factor's 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day to get your life back. Just go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. And see how you can say yes to more of everything you want.
Healthcare is complicated. It doesn't have to be. If you don't love how your health insurance works, maybe it's time to leave traditional health insurance behind. Take charge of your healthcare with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM offers you flexibility. Enroll anytime, choose your own provider, and select the program that fits your needs and budget. CHM is the original faith-based way of taking care of your medical bill costs. Learn more at chministries.org/wellness.
Dr. Howard D.C., founder of Balance of Nature and formulator of the fruits and veggies and fiber and spice supplements, has teamed up with veterinarian Dr. Jake to create Dr. Fido's Dog Food Topper, a tasty, nutritious way to enrich your dog's meals. Just scoop, sprinkle, and stir. Call 888-388-7297 or go to drfidos.com, drphytos.com. And for a limited time, order now and receive a 10% discount with our money-back guarantee by using promo code BALANCE.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. On the Edens inbound, Lake Cook to Montrose, 17 minutes. And no delays, Edens outbound, Montrose to Lake Cook with 14-minute travel time. On the inbound, Kennedy O'Hare to Burn Interchange, 39 minutes. You're stopping then going inbound between Foster and Montrose Avenues. On the Kennedy outbound, Burn Interchange to O'Hare, a 40-minute travel time. You're heavier between California and Keeler Avenues. On the Eisenhower inbound, Jane Addams to Old Post Office, 33 minutes. Slower Manheim Road to Cicero Avenue. On the Eisenhower outbound, Old Post Office to Jane Addams, a 38-minute ride. On the Stevenson inbound, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 43 minutes. And the Stevenson outbound, you are heavier, a Lakeshore Drive to 355 with a 38-minute ride. On the Dan Ryan inbound, 95th to Burn Interchange, you're looking at just under 15 minutes. On the Dan Ryan outbound, Burn Interchange to 95th, 12 minutes. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now, here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today will bring partial sunshine with a high of 89. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with warm and humid conditions and a low of 73. Tomorrow will feature times of sun and clouds with a high reaching 95. Thursday will be sunny to partly cloudy and hot, also with a high of 95. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Getting back to the discussion we started last hour about the attempted coup, as so characterized by DNI Tulsi Gabbard and others, that we call Russiagate or the Russian collusion hoax, whichever moniker you prefer. I mean, just going back a little bit to, going back into time here as we did playing some of Hillary Clinton's bites to give lie to the spin that is being offered today by Democrats, given the revelations in the documents that Tulsi Gabbard declassified about the direction Obama gave to essentially change the presidential daily bulletin that would have been available to be viewed by then President-elect Trump in December of 2016. To go from did not impact to something else. July 24th, 2018, an Investor's Business Daily editorial. As the saying goes, if fish rots from the head down, well, so do bad governments. Recent revelations about the behavior of President Obama and his CIA Director John Brennan in pushing the bogus Russian collusion investigation suggest that's been the case. The release of the FISA application by the FBI to investigate alleged collusion between Russia and Trump's campaign and recent comments made by top officials are eye-opening. Not only did President Obama know about the investigation, he seemed to have pushed it from the very beginning. But don't take our word for it. Here's what his DNI, James Clapper, told Anderson Cooper, quote, "If it weren't for President Obama, we might not have done the intelligence community assessment that we did that set up a whole sequence of events which are still unfolding today, including special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. President Obama is responsible for that. It was he who tasked us to do that intelligence community assessment in the first place." That's true, based on the memos that Tulsi Gabbard declassified. James Clapper telling the truth. That may be the most shocking thing of all here. But that's substantiated by the evidence, and that's what we should do, go where the evidence leads. Well, so if that's true, and President Obama's own DNI so stipulates, and the physical evidence substantiates, then yeah, it is not folly to suggest that former President Obama be included in this criminal investigation, as far as I'm concerned. I know he doesn't have the perjury and conspiracy to perjure exposure that maybe a Comey and a Brennan have because they testified under oath. But there are other federal statutes that may be applicable. And let's remember, so I mean, I go back to this 2018, 7 years ago, because we have known or suspected so much of this for so long and been given the back of the hand, the dismissive non-answers, the name calling in lieu of answers, because if the facts aren't with you, attack your opponent. We get that. I mean, this was back in 2020, Trump's infamous interview with Leslie Stahl on 60 Minutes, where any suggestion of any of this was treated as fake news, out of bounds, misinformation campaign. And until you get in and you can unearth it yourself, all you can do is spar with the media because they're not going to exercise the due diligence required or hold their fellow travelers accountable. They've proven that.
The biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign. They spied on my campaign.
Well, there's no real evidence of that.
Of course there is. It's all over the place. Leslie,
Sir,
they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Can I say something? You know, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied on my campaign.
Well, we can't verify
It's been totally
that.
verified.
No.
It's been, just go down and get the papers. They spied on my campaign, they got caught.
No.
And then they went much further than that, and they got caught. And you will see that, Leslie, and you know that, but you just don't want to put it on the air.
As a matter of fact, I don't know.
How about now, Leslie? And what do we get from John Brennan and Jim Comey, the two named subjects of open DOJ investigation? You know what they do. It's the hi-hat. Moral indignation to cover for moral turpitude. More declassified docs show Comey swayed by mysterious intel reports to end Clinton email inquiry. A newly declassified appendix to a years-old Justice Department watchdog report shows that then FBI Director James Comey was swayed to preemptively announce the end of the Bureau's investigation into Hillary Clinton based on mysterious classified intelligence reports, and that the FBI failed to investigate thumb drives containing potentially key information about use of an illicit private email server. This was a classified appendix to DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz's 2018 report that criticized the politicized conduct of Comey and McCabe and the leadership of the FBI. Every time you turn around, every time you scratch to the next layer, through the top layer to the next layer, the next surface layer, you get more. That confirms your worst suspicions about people that wielded the most power in the federal government for a period of time. And Jim Comey now is directing his moral indignation to, to Trump and to MAGA supporters, because his family has been harmed. And he's not happy about it, but he's going to rise above it because that's what Jim Comey does, because he is a selfless public servant. Just listen to him.
The reservoir is in grave danger right now. Trump and the hacks who lead the Department of Justice are hammering at the dam day after day, trying to turn it into just another gold leaf-covered Trump subsidiary. Our best hope is that good people will stay and do what Maureen asked. Have the courage to do the right thing always. You may get fired for acting that way, but there's honor in that, and nothing but disgrace for those who don't stand up. There are going to be hard weeks in the Trump era, and this was one for my family. But there are plenty of good people still in the department committed to doing things the right way, committed to the rule of law. For them, because of them, keep the faith.
Okay, Coach. Father Comey, crime fighter. Yeah, Maureen, his daughter, as I'm sure most of you know by now, fired as a federal prosecutor, which is, the prerogative of the president, Department of Justice, just as previous presidents, Republican, Democrat, put in their own U.S. attorneys and so forth. Whatever. The point here is Comey, the same time the news about him gets worse with each document revelation. He's out there, he is the sort of the moral conscience of the nation. And he's encouraging you to not lose faith because he's out there leading the charge for truth, justice, and the American way. What a load. For more on this, James Gagliano joins us, retired FBI supervisory special agent and a doctoral candidate in Homeland Security at St. John's. He also served as mayor of Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson in New York. Jim, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It is always good to join you, brother, and I think you summed things up quite nicely. It's been kind of a busy week, huh?
Yeah, I'd say. Let's start, your old stomping grounds there with Comey, and what you think about the open criminal investigation into Comey and Brennan. There are questions about perjury, questions about conspiring to commit perjury, questions about why the FBI pulled out of that daily bulletin for the president back in December of 2006 at the 11th hour and said, no, we're not signing on to a memo that says that the Russians had no impact in the outcome of the 2016 election.
Well, we can hold that two things can be true at the same time. The first is that this cabal, and I don't use that term to be overly hyperbolic, but this cabal of folks, between the president back then and the DNI chief, Jim Clapper, and John Brennan, the CIA chief, and Susan Rice, and John Kerry, Secretary of State, Loretta Lynch, you go down the list, Andy McCabe, who was the deputy director of the FBI at the time. You can hold this as true. These folks were terrified that Donald Trump was going to win the election, and they're smarter than all of us. They're smarter than the electorate, and just because you had a duly elected president about to assume the office in January of 2017, they panicked. And in their panic, they decided to do things that are antithetical to what a democracy, an honest, good, and decent democracy should be doing. Having said that, let me just also add this. Dan, I've looked through it. And again, I'm not the oracle when it comes to this, but I've read enough of the Justice Department's tea leaves over the years to understand how things work, no matter who the AG is, no matter who the Deputy Attorney General is. In this instance, do I think people are going to jail for this? I don't. And I think there's too many escape valves here. Obviously, we have a divided country. Obviously, we have a judiciary that has to make, quote unquote, unbiased and impartial decisions. But as Tulsi Gabbard listed, and I know you've read it front to back, I did too, I just think all of these determinations, all these things that, heck, Trump could have brought out during the first term, but they kept him on his heels the entire 4 years. It's interesting. It's disgusting and reprehensible. You read it and you want to rinse off afterwards. But, Dan, I just don't see them being able to pursue anything and put any of the people that I just mentioned, in jail.
Well, I mean, that may be. I mean, I think there is clearly a case to be made for perjury for both Comey and Brennan. I mean, they're just statements they made under oath that are contradictory. And frankly, that some Comey statements made that contradict McCabe and so forth. And I think it's going to be difficult to say, well, was it just a memory lapse or some other cover story? In other words, at least, look, I don't know because I don't have all the information that the DOJ has for certain. But just on its face, there definitely is enough to investigate because I think there's a pretty good circumstantial case to make just from what's in the public domain that both Brennan and Comey perjured themselves in sworn testimony, and frankly, Clapper too, although the statute may have run on him. But something else too. I mean, I don't want to be hyperbolic either, but 18 U.S. Code 2381. Whoever owing allegiance to the United States levies war against them or adheres to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort to the United States or elsewhere, is guilty of treason. Can you not make out a aid and comfort to America's enemies by manufacturing and propagating this hoax?
Sure, and you could also look at it from the perspective that is this not projection when you have the claims and the hysteria that something was being done to undermine our democracy.
Yes.
And then you do the exact, ostensibly same thing. Look, and you brought in the former DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper. If you want to talk about perjury, I mean, he testified in front of the Senate back in 2013. That's
right.
What you were alluding to.
Right.
And claimed that, no, his agency had not collected American citizens, the metadata of communications, which was demonstrably false. Now, he tried to clean it up in a couple of interviews.
I meant to say yes.
Yes. But But nothing ever came of that. Now, in this instance, what these folks are going to hang their hat on is the interpretations. Okay, so to walk through really quickly the timeline here, we know in the months leading up to the 2016 election, the IC, the intelligence community, had consistently stated and assessed that Russia is probably not trying to influence the election by using cyber means, close quote. Now, having said that, the Russians have been trying to undermine our democracy since the beginning of the Cold War. J. Edgar Hoover wrote a great book on it in 1958 called Masters of Deceit, the former FBI director. They're still doing that. But on December 7th, with what's been released now by DNI Gabbard, after the election, the IC continued to state that foreign adversaries, and I'm quoting here, did not use cyber attacks on election infrastructure to alter the U.S. presidential election outcome.
Right.
Now, on December 9th, a couple days later, when Obama assembles his team of co-conspirators in this realm, and I already named the people that were there, he's the one that directed them, and this is what was written up. This is per the president's request that a new IC assessment gets generated, and that is done. Now, what's going to happen is they're going to go, well, the president was acting in good faith. He just wanted to stay on top of this. They're going to be able to wiggle their way out that way, and they're not going to acknowledge that they pressured the analysts. They pressured the intelligence collection teams. They pressured them to come back with something, anything that they could come back and go, Trump was not a duly elected president. It's a masterful scheme, but they'll be able to wiggle out of it by semantics and saying no one was directly told, go and find us something dirty and help us stop him from being president.
Well, two things to that. One is we don't know who the Department of Justice may be able to flip to testify exactly to that. I mean, so there's always the possibility that somebody who is pressured will now testify that the landscape has changed. Number two, the problem with that, it seems to me, is without any evidence to support the change in the assessment, that becomes an issue. And in addition to that, what you did after the fact, then there was the lying to the FISA court and all of the other instances of skullduggery. So if you had a good faith, we want to kick the tires on this in a good faith way, and you came up with some basis to change the assessment, that's one thing. If you don't have a basis, and then you engage in all sorts of, illegal, in some cases, acts to extend to what essentially to leverage this new assessment to extend this scrutiny over Trump in an unprecedented way, spying on a presidential campaign, spying on a president. Then, boy, I think that's a completely different thing. I don't think you get to just sort of, and I don't think Bondi will let them just sort of skirt around this by saying, it was a good faith effort just to make sure all the T's were crossed and I's were dotted. I mean, come on.
Fair points. However, you know me, I'll push back a little and I'll say this.
Okay.
The president, and you've been critical of the president when he deserved to be criticized, does not help matters when he weighs in publicly and it is interpreted and justifiably so that he's putting pressure on the judiciary or he's putting pressure on the attorney general's office. That doesn't help.
Well, it doesn't.
Andrew McCabe was fired and got his job back and a chunk of change. Peter Strzok was fired and then he didn't get his job back, but what he did was he received millions of dollars. And the reason being is because the president was saying things that would poison any jury pool and came off as partisan. And Dan, my prediction here is this. Him talking about this and pushing this so hard, even though he is talking about legitimate things, he's talking about legitimate, whether or not they rise to the level of a crime that would be prosecuted. I think that's a fine line, but it is possible. He's just not helping the cause.
Well, okay. I mean, that may be the case with respect to thinking about the jury pool, but just on the merits of the case, as Lee Smith noted in his piece in Tablet, it's worth noting the only genuine piece of Russian intelligence U.S. spy services ever received during the Trump-Russia probe was intelligence that Russia knew the Clinton campaign was behind the effort to dirty Trump as a Russian agent. And so they knew the Steele dossier was bogus, and they ran with it anyway. And they knew there was no basis to unleash all of the forces that allied against Trump in media, in government, in the criminal justice system. But they did it anyway. They knew for months and months and months, they knew there was no there, and they did it anyway. I mean, that to me is a strong case for potentially a expansive reading of federal statutes like the treason one.
I don't disagree with that. Now, that term gets thrown around with such cavalier indifference sometimes.
I hear you.
And it is a malevolent term, and in the legal system, as you well know, it has a specific, just like an insurrection, it has a specific legal definition. So your point's not, I mean, it's not lost on me. It's just that we have to understand a couple things here. One is, first and foremost, the Russians did not impact our election infrastructure. And that was what the initial survey and the initial intent of the investigation into this by the IC, the intelligence community, was to determine, are they changing votes? Did Trump win because they were able to change votes? And the answer was no. The second piece is much more nuanced and abstract. Did the Russians contribute to Trump's victory by posting Facebook ads or by, trolling with bot farms and causing dissension? They want to make sure that this democracy is fragile and fallible and falls apart. Beyond that, so much of this is going to come up in the court of public opinion first. And Dan, that's where it is right now.
Yeah.
And is it the right thing to do? Is locking up Comey, who I despise and loathe.
Yeah.
You know that. However, is that going to heal the divide? Is it going to? And again, it's about justice, and I get that.
I mean,
but he's got a high return. Go ahead.
No, I mean, just like, I mean, I'm saying this sort of generally, not directing you, but like the heal the divide stuff. I mean, that is I mean, we're talking about the justice system. I mean, the divides because of different opinions about the justice system or whatever. I mean, you still have to act in furtherance of the principles of the justice system, starting with equal protection under the law and equal treatment before the law. And right now, Comey and Brennan and perhaps others are getting a pass. So does it heal the divide? No. But would Comey and Brennan behind bars be justice? I think there's a strong circumstantial case right now, and this is up to Bondi to put together something that's even stronger than that. I think right now there's a strong circumstantial case that it would be justice, and that's what I'm interested in. And if people don't like it, well, that's just tough.
Yeah, no, I get it. But, I mean, go back and look at what they did to Trump and his team. I mean, look.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly the point. Yeah.
Michael Flynn, Rick Gates, Paul Manafort, George Papadopoulos, all the folks that work within the campaign. But I just don't know if at this point in time remember, prosecutors don't go in always and take cases on, even if they know. Remember, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
I understand.
And what you can prove has to go for a jury, and prosecutors will use discretion and say, look, is this case a winnable case? The answer is probably no in each of those instances. But to your point, is it the right thing to do because you're supposed to pursue justice? And that's the $1 million question.
Yeah, well, you're supposed to pursue justice, and you're also supposed to send a message about people who to people who weaponize the justice system. We're going to at least impose the punishment of process on you. And, maybe it's 50-50 before a jury, but we're going to at least do to you legitimately what you did to other people illicitly. So we send the message that there are consequences to weaponizing the justice system the way that you bozos did for the last 4 years or 8. I mean, that needs to be part of the calculation in my mind, too. Even if I would put that under the category of substantive due process in addition to the strictures of procedural due process. But, that's me, and I'm not the Attorney General.
I can't disagree with you on what you just said. That was well put together.
Thank you. Appreciate that. James Gagliano, retired FBI supervisory special agent and a doctoral candidate in Homeland Security at St. John's. He's also served as mayor of Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson in New York. James Gagliano, thanks as always for joining us. Always a great discussion.
Dan, thanks for having me. Take care.
You too. And he joined us in the Turnkey.Pro answer line. Coming up at 7:37, we'll turn our attention to matters of border security and immigration policy. Hunter Biden had a lot to say on immigration policy in his sit-down with that podcaster. Very entertaining. Sam Olson, the field office director at ICE Chicago, for the ICE office in Chicago, probably will find it less entertaining. We'll talk to Sam Olson, 7:37.
Good morning. It's 71 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom, I'm Bob Stevenson. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is set to sign a new squatter bill. It's aimed at helping homeowners remove unwanted squatters faster. The law skips the long eviction process and lets police clear squatters more quickly. Democrats may be putting a socialist in office as mayor in New York. Now Democrats are looking at another socialist for possible mayor in Minneapolis.
The Democratic Farmer Labor Party has endorsed far-left Minnesota State Senator Omar Fateh for mayor of Minneapolis. Fateh is promising rent stabilization, expanding government public housing, and a, quote, local income tax so the wealthiest contribute their fair share. And if people and their businesses decide to leave Minneapolis because of this, he wants to implement a commercial vacancy tax that would penalize owners who cannot fill their buildings.
This news is a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600.
Hugh Hewitt takes it as a threat, but not much of one.
The threat by Iranian officials to strike him with a drone when he's sunbathing. Yeah, it's a threat, but he doesn't have to pay any attention to it because it's like the older kid holding the little kid at bay with a long outstretched arm while the little kid swings. If they try anything, he will level the place, and they know it.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. Democrat leaders are stepping up the rhetoric against Trump's policies, specifically the One Big Beautiful Bill, and the leftist media is helping them out. Their attacks center around the loss of federal funding for Medicaid and SNAP benefits. The Chicago Tribune recently ran 2 stories intended to highlight the impact of funding cuts locally. First, they ran a story that Humboldt Park Health, a safety net hospital that serves low-income people, they suspect may possibly lose $5 to $7 million. Then they highlighted a woman who was afraid she will lose more SNAP benefits. Both stories must be read past the headline and personal narratives to get to the truth. First, the disabled woman highlighted in the Humboldt Park Health article will more than likely continue to receive benefits. As a bona fide disabled person, she's exactly the type of person Medicaid was designed to help. Second, the SNAP beneficiary highlighted in the other article said her benefits were cut nearly in half in December of 2024. This substantial cut was before Trump even took office. And then halfway through that article, it further states that she will keep her remaining benefits even after Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill passed because of her low income and having young children to support. So in both cases, the Chicago Tribune used people wrongly in speculative reporting about Trump's policies. But another issue is that there's no context around how much $5 to $7 million means compared to other government spending. In the same neighborhood as Humboldt Park Health sits the National Museum of Puerto Rican Arts and Culture and the Puerto Rican Cultural Center. Collectively, Pritzker's budget last year awarded them over $10 million. So don't be fooled. There's no need for cuts to food support or health care. The state just needs to stop funding bogus NGOs. I'm Jeannie Ives. Listen to The Real Story Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Mike Lindell and MyPillow employees want to thank my listeners for all your continued support. Mike has a passion to help get everyone the best sleep of their life. He didn't stop by creating the best pillow. He created the best bed sheets ever. Mike is offering the best deal on his Percale bed sheets. You can get a set for as low as $24.98. The MyPillow Percale sheets are breathable and have a cool, crisp feel. They have deep pockets to fit over any mattress. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts. Go to MyPillow.com now and use promo code LIBERTY to receive the MyPillow Percale sheets for as low as $24.98. Order now or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201, promo code LIBERTY.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic, a service of Wendy's new Takis Fuego meal. Eden's inbound Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes, no delays. No delays, Eden's outbound Montrose to Lake Cook with a 15-minute ride. On the Kennedy inbound, O'Hare to Byrne Interchange, 42 minutes. On the outbound Kennedy Byrne Interchange to O'Hare, 48 minutes is your travel time. Eisenhower inbound Jane Addams to Old Post Office, you're looking at 50 minutes. On the Eisenhower outbound Old Post Office to Jane Addams, a 42-minute ride. On the Stevenson inbound 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 44 minutes. And on the Stevenson outbound Lakeshore Drive to 355, 27 minutes. No delays. On the Dan Ryan inbound 95th to Byrne Interchange, 26 minutes. 20 minutes on the outbound Dan Ryan Byrne Interchange to 95th. Wendy's new Takis Fuego meal is here with a Takis Fuego chicken sandwich and small Fuego fries inspired by Takis. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today will bring partial sunshine with a high of 89. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with warm and humid conditions and a low of 73. Tomorrow will feature times of sun and clouds with a high reaching 95. Thursday will be sunny to partly cloudy and hot, also with a high of 95. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, the left just never learns the lessons, do they? So quick to brand. And sometimes they get bitten by the facts. Of course, it doesn't mean they don't impose damage in the process. Julie Calderon is to Los Angeles what Jussie Smollett is to Chicago. Julie Calderon was disappeared by ICE in the same way that Jussie Smollett was attacked by MAGA thugs in Streeterville. Fox has the story.
A Mexican national. She goes by Julie Calderon, and the feds say she's being charged with lying to police and conspiracy for this elaborate hoax that they believe was meant to incite even more tension and also possibly make some money. Federal investigators say a key piece of evidence, photos. Calderon and her co-conspirators had pictures ready, staged to make it look like she was in custody with a dirty face, even removing her shoelaces. But the feds say there's at least one glaring error, because she would have been asked to take off the necklace in an official federal photo. The U.S. government says surveillance video helped them crack the case. The feds say this woman lied about being kidnapped by federal agents at a Jack in the Box here in L.A., taken to San Ysidro to the south, and asked to self-deport, but she refused, so she was held in a warehouse. But the feds say they caught her roaming free in the Bakersfield area, hundreds of miles north. This scheme went to extremes: a filed police report, a GoFundMe, even a press conference announcing her disappearance.
So in this very parking lot a week ago, ununiformed men in unmarked cars kidnapped Julie. And with her courage and her strength, even though we don't know where Julie is and we don't know when we will find her, Julie has managed to make 2 phone calls to the family since she's been kidnapped.
The Department of Justice says Calderon was indeed using her iPhone during her alleged disappearance, which helped them locate her. She faces a maximum of 10 years if convicted. The U.S. attorney here in L.A. says, quote, dangerous rhetoric that ICE agents are kidnapping illegal migrants is being recklessly peddled by politicians and echoed in the media to inflame the public and discredit our courageous federal agents. We do have calls.
Yeah, being platformed by politicians. Oh, you mean like L.A. Mayor Karen Bass? She's a mother from L.A., taken out of her car on the way to work, and then held in a warehouse as officers hoped she would, quote, self-deport, unquote. No hearing, just fear. This doesn't make anyone safer. Right. The ICE disappearing people, the ICE, Pinochet-style death squads. And then what happens? You have an ICE officer shot in, CBP officer off duty shot in New York. Because just like you hear with police shooters, like we heard this week in testimony in the cop killer case in Chicago of Lasso. I was afraid of the police. That was the defense that was offered. I didn't know she was a cop. I was afraid of police. Wonder where that irrational fear of law enforcement comes from. Karen Bass, Brandon Johnson, so many others. For more on this and other topics, please be joined by Sam Olson, who's Field Office Director for the ICE office in Chicago. Sam, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me, Dan.
So what you heard in that Fox News report and obviously what you've seen in a much more poignant way than I have in terms of the politicians trying to make ICE a scapegoat for and a whipping sort of a whipping boy for their politics.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating for us, and unfortunately, it seems like we're an easy boogeyman right now. When essentially we're charged by the Constitution and by the legislators to be out there enforcing the law that's been on the books for years now. And again, like our people are from these communities that they're serving too, and I think that's one of the things that sometimes gets misunderstood, that we keep them all in a box and then send them out into the community every morning, but coming from DC, but they're not, right? Our officers are from these communities. Their kids go to school in the same schools, and they're there to try to keep their own community safe as well, and that's the charge now, right? Is to try to just increase our public safety.
Well, right, and then the stories that get downplayed are the story. Well, ICE takes 52-year-old Lake County man into custody, charged with concealing the body of a missing 37-year-old Antioch woman. That 52-year-old from Waukegan is in this country illegally from Mexico, and now he's in ICE custody. So I think everybody's pleased with what ICE did in that case, and I'm not saying that ICE is beyond reproach or ICE officers don't have to color inside the lines too, but it's just the understanding and the presentation of what ICE does is just so uneven and distorted.
Right, and it is, and that's why I appreciate even the time to come on here, right? To kind of to try to let everybody know, what we do and what we don't do, right? I mean, we're there. We do targeted enforcement. We do look for the worst of the worst on the street. We're not going to turn a blind eye for those that are here illegally without any criminal charges if we do encounter those people on the street. But that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the ones that have committed crimes, and unfortunately here, in Illinois and in Chicago, there's laws in place where like other law enforcement agencies can't cooperate with us and can't let us know, when somebody's getting released from custody, which, in my opinion, it's a public safety issue for sure, because then we can't get these people from the jails. We have to be out on the streets to get them. So it puts us right in the communities where we could essentially pick them up, from the Cook County Jail.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, it's something that Tom Homan openly has talked about for years with respect to sanctuary jurisdictions. They just make everybody less safer, including the people that you have to deal with on the street rather than in custody. It's safer for all parties concerned, but that's not the position of Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker and the politicians in this state, apparently. Something else, too, though I just wanted to make note of and fold in ICE, your opinion here, and what ICE does or doesn't do with respect to this. On the one hand, you're seeing the targeted enforcement that you described and removing people from this country illegally, particularly those that present public safety threats. On the other hand, we also want to honor our commitments and we want to do right by people. Trump, the administration has struck a deal with the United Arab Emirates to stop the forced deportation of several Afghan interpreters and soldiers who assisted the U.S. military before they could be handed over to the Taliban this month. So, keeping our commitment to those people who aided our men and women in uniform when we needed it, when they needed the help. And so we need to honor our commitments to them. And I just wonder, sort of the vetting issue, generally speaking, how does ICE and CBP and sort of the other relevant parties within Department of Homeland Security, how do they all coordinate and play different roles when it comes to immigration law enforcement? I think people would like to have a better understanding of, who plays what role and how the communication works.
Right. It is. It's complicated because, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, has, a huge umbrella with, many different divisions and components underneath it. Well, for us, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, we do the interior enforcement. Once somebody has already gotten into the United States, we're charged with doing any interior enforcement. Well, then we have CBP, which is Customs and Border Protection, and the U.S. Border Patrol, which is under them. Their charge is to do the enforcement right at the border to stop anybody that's, coming in, essentially. So once they're in the country, that's us. And then, of course, you have like CBP, the Customs and Border Protection officers who work at the airports and other ports of entry. They're the ones that look into people that are coming in, say, with illegal means, maybe.
Yeah.
With coming in that aspect. So essentially, we're where it all stops, right? When somebody's actually in the country, because we could have somebody that came into the country legally, but then have committed some crimes that make them actually deportable because of those crimes. And so we do all of that investigation. And so when we do come across people that, have come in legally, again, we take that investigation to a level, and we will coordinate with our partners in CBP, in DOJ, to make sure that there's no, other cases going on. We do a very good job of deconfliction on all of these cases because we don't always know, right, if somebody is wanted for something else, aside from the immigration piece.
So then you're communicating, when you say DOJ, you're communicating with FBI then on these cases?
That is correct. Yep. We have communication with FBI, with ATF, with DEA, because again, while, our charge essentially for ICE is, we're the only agency that can actually remove somebody from the U.S. But if somebody has a charge or a case going on that, arises to a larger conspiracy, we'll definitely work with those partners to ensure that, justice is served.
What do you say to those individuals, including those who have proposed legislation in this direction, that say that ICE officers should not be masked? We should be able to, readily identify ICE officers.
Yeah, the mask situation it seems like it's a big one. I'd like to say that first off, none of our officers enjoy wearing a mask, right? It's not comfortable to do, and unfortunately, it seems like that's the way it's become, and it's not because that our officers are ashamed of anything or that they're afraid. They understand the risk they took when they swore an oath to uphold the laws. But the issue is happening. It's not just affecting the officers, it's affecting their families, their spouses, their kids, their extended family, because of a lot of the doxing. It's happening everywhere. It's happened here in Chicago. So they feel that they have to wear those masks just to kind of protect their families. And it's unfortunate that it's happening.
The incidents in Chicago, I mean, what has the situation been here? Has it been, it hasn't been quite to the level that we've seen, say, in LA, at least not on this score, at least not yet, but just some color on what ICE agents are dealing with beyond the politicians, the sort of the activists that they enable, in many cases fund, and, who they exist with symbiotically.
Yeah, the officers here have a tough job. Like I said, it hasn't risen to the level that it has in Los Angeles, but every day they're dealing with people that don't like them doing their jobs, and and that's the unfortunate part, right? Our officers aren't enforcing laws that they've created. These are laws that have been on the books for years, and they're out there, doing what they've been sworn to do, and trying to keep the public safe. And, even this week, we've had several assaults on officers just attempting to do their jobs. We've had in the past just, bystanders trying to obstruct them in doing their jobs and, carrying out their lawful duties. And we've had to take action, on people. That's the last thing our officers want to do. Our officers are under enough, danger and stress when they're just searching for somebody they've targeted to arrest. And now they have to worry about what's going to go on around them in the community. And if they are going to have to, try to call in additional backup to just get out of a situation when they've conducted the lawful arrest. So it's happening, right? Like I said, just this week, we had 2 officers get assaulted. Not good, and there were some injuries there, and we're seeing it nationwide. I think the number thrown around now is an over 800% increase in assaults on officers, and it's just it's unfortunate, and I think it definitely it needs to stop.
Are these instances where people are like professional agitators and they're looking to be arrested? They're trying to instigate an incident that they can use for political purposes?
I think there's some of that for sure. A lot of it where our officers are very good at doing their job. And so that when they go and conduct an arrest, they try to, get in and get out of that area as soon as possible, to try to avoid this. And, the unfortunate part is I think a lot of these people that are obstructing are thinking that, okay, if they obstruct so much that we're going to just stop doing the job. And that's not the case. We're going to continue doing the job. We'll find other ways of doing it to make sure that we keep our officers safe and the public safe. But we're not going to stop doing the job.
And the other sort of general criticism, often without any foundation, almost exclusively without any foundation, as far as I've seen, is the conditions in which people who you detain, who you apprehend, actually, the conditions in which they're held pending adjudication of their cases or execution of an order. In many cases, of course, they already have a deportation order, but just ICE's attention to the detail of conditions for people they apprehend.
Right, and I think that the truth of the matter is that the conditions which our ICE detainees are held are pretty amazing. I mean, for one thing, our detention for immigration purposes is not a punitive detention. We're not charging somebody essentially with a certain immigration crime. We're charging them with being here illegally or some charge. And the fact is they're not getting served a sentence. We use our detention solely for the removal period. We want to keep people in detention as little as possible. Essentially, our detention is only to effect removal. That's what we use detention for, and so therefore it's different. It's not a punitive detention. Unfortunately, we don't have any detention here in Illinois, so a lot of times we'll arrest somebody in Illinois, they're moved somewhere else, to Wisconsin or Indiana or another place. But even within those facilities that we move them, we have agreements with numerous county jails. But the standards that they're under for our detainees are different than the standards are for, say, if you or I were in custody there as well. They have a lot more, a larger breadth of options that they can do, just consular type visits, consular type rights to contact their attorney, like a lot of these things that, say, you or I wouldn't get.
And so they're not being disappeared. Of course, this is the other charge. If that, what happened to somebody who is apprehended by ICE is knowable. They're not. Julia Calderon was here one day and then she's just gone, and we don't know. We just have to pray for her. That's all performative.
It very much so is. Everybody that we arrest is afforded an opportunity for a phone call. They're afforded the opportunity to contact their consulate, right? I mean, that's something that we have to do, like per the Geneva Convention. We have an online detainee locator system, so a family knows the person's name and date of birth. They can find them online. We have posted on ICE.gov website like an outreach mailbox that people can email us questions, and if appropriate, we're going to respond back to them. So yeah, these aren't kidnappings at all. The information is very readily available.
Sam Olson is the field office director for the ICE office in Chicago. Sam, thanks very much for your time, and appreciate those details. I think they're very helpful for the people to hear.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
And Sam Olson joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Sponsored by AxeCap Ventures. America, listen up. Gold prices are breaking records. With inflation raging and central banks hoarding, every American should own gold. And like President Trump said, whoever holds the gold makes the rules. AxeCap Ventures owns one of Nevada's largest undeveloped gold deposits and trades for pennies on the dollar. This could be your way to ride the gold boom. AxeCap trades under GARLF on the OTC. Visit axecapventures.ca today.
Chicagoland traffic. The Ike, the Stevenson, the dreaded 294. You sitting in traffic is not time well spent. Time is money.
Oh, come on, man. What's the slowdown for?
Especially when you're trying to do your own company deliveries.
What is happening up there? I got things to deliver.
But instead of sitting there getting more and more frustrated,
please, can we go any slower?
You could be back at the shop getting work done.
I should have stayed at work and actually worked.
Get Quick Delivery Service to battle the traffic for you. They'll make your deliveries while you get other things done. Quick Delivery Service makes it easy. No forms, no labels, no scanning. They'll deliver large pallets of materials to important documents. Simply tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going. They'll pick it up and get it to your destination quickly. Plus, your deliveries are tracked with real-time GPS notifications. Visit quickdelivery.com and stay out of traffic.
Oh no, this exit's closed?
Call now for a free quote. 847-534-2244 or go to quickdelivery.com.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
An update to a simmering controversy President Trump calls a hoax. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Even though the Justice Department stands by an FBI conclusion that Jeffrey Epstein did not leave behind a client list when he committed suicide in jail, it announced this morning it will seek more answers, as Trump supporters who have upset the president keep demanding all the Epstein files be released.
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said in a social media post that he is communicating with lawyers for Ghislaine Maxwell and says he anticipates meeting with her, quote, in the coming days. Maxwell was convicted of helping financier Jeffrey Epstein run a trafficking ring of young girls and was sentenced to 20 years in prison in 2022. Last week, the DOJ asked a federal court to unseal the grand jury transcripts in the Epstein case following President Trump's call for it.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. A Maxwell attorney just told Fox that she'll testify truthfully and thanked President Trump for a commitment to uncover the truth. Martin Luther King Jr.'s family is not happy that a few 100,000 files have been declassified and made public 57 years after his assassination. The King family is urging people to view the info in a historical context. Iran is open to negotiating with the U.S. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi tells Fox's Brett Baer,
if the purpose of these talks is to achieve a deal in which Iran commits itself permanently not to go for nuclear weapons, that deal is achievable.
As he admits, U.S. airstrikes a month ago left their nuclear facilities seriously damaged.
President Trump celebrated that news on Truth Social. The White House has been defending the strikes after a preliminary intelligence assessment last month stated they did not do as much damage as the administration had hoped. Because of the damages, Iran's foreign minister admits they have not been able to refine nuclear fuel, but he also indicates Iran will resume its enrichment program.
Fox's Madeline Rivera at the White House, where in 2 hours, President Trump will meet with the Philippines leader discussing China, security, and trade. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 73 degrees in Chicago. From the AM 560, The Answer Newsroom, I'm Bob Stevenson. Former ComEd CEO Ann Parmigieri has been sentenced to 2 years in prison for her role in a bribery scheme to sway ex-Illinois House Speaker Mike Madigan. Parmigieri maintains her innocence and plans to appeal to the Supreme Court if needed. Madigan, convicted in February, got 7.5 years. The man who robbed a pizza delivery in Chicago's Rogers Park while wanted for murder downstate's headed to prison. Apparently, though, he's not going to be there for too long. Kyle Lesko got 6 years for the robbery and gun charges, but with his time served and credits, he's expected to be released in September. Despite an overall drop in hate crimes, Chicago saw anti-Semitic attacks jump 58% last year. A city report says anti-Jewish crimes now make up nearly 38% of all hate crimes here, even though Jewish residents are just 3% of the city's population. The mayor's office says it's part of a very troubling national trend. A 2-year-old boy is recovering today after being shot inside a Lawndale home last night. Chicago police say the child found an unsecured gun in a bedroom and suffered a wrist graze wound. He is in good condition at Stroger Hospital. Detectives are still investigating. They say no one's in custody as of yet. 3 people were shot yesterday afternoon in Riverdale near 138th and Atlantic. Witnesses say there were more than 15 shots fired during a rolling shootout between a couple of cars. One of those crashed behind a laundromat. There have been no arrests yet. It's still unclear what sparked the violence. And Chicago is moving ahead with its first affordable housing complex designed for Native Americans. City leaders say it'll serve multi-generational families when it opens next fall. This news is a service of In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday morning at 7:30 on AM 560. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Coca-Cola says it will make a separate version of Coke using cane sugar. Coca-Cola earnings are better than expected, though sales declined in the U.S. Coke says as part of its ongoing innovation agenda this fall in the U.S., it plans to launch a soda made with U.S. cane sugar to expand its trademark Coca-Cola product range. It will complement the company's strong core portfolio and offer more choices. President Trump previously posted Coca-Cola agreed to switch from using high fructose corn syrup to cane sugar. General Motors earnings took a $1.1 billion hit because of tariffs in the spring quarter. Its profit was weaker than a year ago. Sales were up, though, and it was holding up better than expected. GM says it has not been passing on the cost of tariffs to car and truck buyers. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosolda. Invested in you.
If you've ever wanted to meet Larry Elder, Hugh Hewitt, Mike Gallagher, or Charlie Kirk, now's your chance. It's AM 560's Terrific Talkers VIP Experience Contest. Enter today for a chance to meet your favorite host and sit in on a live broadcast. The grand prize includes airfare and 3 nights of accommodations. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/VIP. That's 560theanswer.com/VIP. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Don't Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Living with everyday pain is like having a voice that always says, no, you can't do that. No, you better sit this one out. It's no way to live. So if pain is affecting you, see how Relief Factor can help get you back to life on your terms. One where you say yes a lot more. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor's unique formula of natural ingredients does not just mask pain, it helps reduce or eliminate it for good. Whether it's your back, neck, joints, or muscles, Relief Factor can help you, as it has for so many others. So call 1-800-4RELIEF and give Relief Factor's 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day to get your life back. Just go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. And see how you can say yes to more of everything you want.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. On Eden's inbound Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes, no delays. An 18-minute ride, Eden's outbound Montrose to Lake Cook. On the Kennedy inbound O'Hare to Byrne Interchange, they're looking at a 49-minute travel time. On the inbound heavier between the Eden's Junction and Chicago Avenue. A 54-minute ride on the Kennedy outbound Byrne Interchange to O'Hare. You're heavier between Madison and Ontario streets. On the Eisenhower inbound Jane Adams to Old Post Office. A 22-minute delay, you're looking at 54 minutes. On the Eisenhower outbound Old Post Office to Jane Adams, a 50-minute ride. On the Stevenson inbound 355 to Lake Shore, a drive, you are crash free, that's a 48-minute ride, and a 32-minute ride on the Stevenson outbound Lake Shore drive to 355. On the Dan Ryan inbound 95th to Byrne Interchange, 21 minutes, and an 11-minute ride outbound Dan Ryan Byrne Interchange to 95th. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today will bring partial sunshine with a high of 89. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with warm and humid conditions and a low of 73. Tomorrow will feature times of sun and clouds with a high reaching 95. Thursday will be sunny to partly cloudy and hot, also with a high of 95. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. That sound means it's time for our weekly confab with Ted Dabrowski, president of wirepoints.org, all things policy related. And, hey, you know those city-sponsored grocery stores that are all the rage among the neo-Marxist mayors, places like Chicago? The forthcoming Gimme Dat grocery stores that Brandon Johnson has proposed. Mamdani in New York proposed the same. Well, in Kansas City, they did it. Kansas City, Missouri, they did it. We have a real-world example. And the piece in the Bezos Post goes like this. It was the lone tomato in the produce bin that nearly made Marquita Taylor weep. Interestingly, Lone Tomato was the name of my college garage band. We were a Smashing Pumpkins tribute band. We used to kill with bullet with butterfly wings. But I digress. She stopped in her neighborhood grocery store, the place that was cause for celebration when it opened 7 years ago. Area residents had long lived without a decent supermarket in Kansas City's east side, and KC Sunfresh was the city's attempt to alleviate a lack of access to healthy food in its urban center. 7 years. Started, I guess it climbed to 14,000 customers, down to 4,000 now. Turns out there are a lot of crime and social issues in and around KC Sunfresh and KC. Many commentators pointing out that shoplifting, lack of law enforcement, and other issues that make it an unpleasant place to be have creeped in. And so the city has responded by pumping more money into it, but it continues to lose money. It's like the WNBA of supermarkets. Well, it turns out that, the grocery business is not for the faint of heart. Slim margins, complicated supply chains, fluctuating prices. You have to know what you're doing. It's not something you can just sort of take on as a hobby because you created a department in city government that says we're going to give people, out of a place of sentimentality, we're going to give people on the east side of Kansas City a grocery store because they deserve it. Well, what they deserve from the city, and what the city should focus on, perhaps, is making the east side of Kansas City a hospitable place to do business. How about that? How about do something that you do have professionals or could have professionals in place to provide, which is a safe community, and then let people who actually know how to run grocery stores decide that it's attractive enough to locate a grocery store on the east side of Kansas City. What a concept. But to take that approach is to reject the central planning approach, the fatal conceit of the BLM Brandons and the Zoran Mamdanis of the world. Ted Dabrowski joins us now. Ted, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
Barely staying open is the KC Sunfresh, and that's despite hundreds of thousands of dollars, bad money after bad money being poured in by the city. What a surprise.
Well, what a surprise. And the thing is they can try to keep a government-owned grocery store going for a long time if they want to, right? They can just keep subsidizing losses and having a bigger and bigger mess. I'm surprised they let it get down to one tomato there. They could just plug more money in. But
well, no matter, but that's actually the interesting. I mean, the Soviet Union had a lot of grocery stores that were state backed, and they had some money for a time. But at the end of the day, money doesn't solve structural infirmities, and if you just don't know what you're doing in terms of the business, then you just fritter the money away, no matter how much you pour into it. I mean, that's the story with almost every government program. Why wouldn't it be the story with a government grocery store?
Well, exactly. And, you just think about the CTA, and then, that's the big discussion right now. And it's, nearly $1 billion deficit. These businesses are hard to run. I mean, it's hard for people who are obsessed about making profits. And like you said, knowing supply chains, knowing, how to manage inventory, you have to be obsessed, and it's still hard. And you still see, that the major companies close down stores because they're not profitable. So, it's really one arrogant to think that, the government should be doing it. And two, it's just wrongheaded anyway, because like you said, really what you need in a place like where that Kansas City store is, you need safe streets so people can go in there and shop safely. You need safe streets so that you're not ripped off all the time as a store. And then you need low taxes so you can have an environment where other businesses start to thrive. It's really hard to have one business in the middle of nothing. You have to really make it an environment where people want to invest and live and can do so, prosperously. So,
you mentioned the CTA. I saw this in Crane Chicago Business, the anti-business magazine, pro rent seeking. Statewide Realtors Group plans to spend about $500,000 warning suburban residents that Springfield might increase real estate transfer taxes statewide as a source for bailing out the CTA. They say funding. I use the proper description. This is the message from Jeff Baker of the Illinois Realtors Association. Always bailing water, always on the back end, all these captains of industry and civic leaders, never on the front end. And they wonder why. Tell your legislator no suburban property transfer tax bailout for CTA. It says a possible increase in the transfer tax would boost the amount paid in 5 collar counties and the suburban part of Cook County by about 600%.
Yeah, it's just their next attempt at this real estate transfer tax. This is the one that they feel they have to go after because they need money desperately. They won't reform the CTA. We've written about this. We're still at 60 to 70% ridership compared to pre-COVID times, and what it really means is that there's less demand for a lot of this service, and they've got to become much more efficient, fire a lot of people, and make it work with what they have. But instead, they're going to keep trying to get more money, raise taxes, and if anybody knows anything about Illinois, it's these highest property taxes in the country. So here you are trying to pile on even more taxes to home ownership. It's a crazy initiative, but just the next one that I think seems obvious under this kind of government.
Well, and like we are talking about with the government grocery store in the so-called food deserts, you don't think people have seen the videos of those National Honor Society types terrorizing people on the CTA or acting the fool in some other material way? You don't think people see that and say, I'll Uber, I'll walk, I'll ride a bike, I'll fly a kite, I'll do almost anything other than use the CTA for transportation?
Well, yeah, and that's why it's at 60% of ridership. And I'll tell you the other part I forgot to say: the miles traveled by the CTA and Metra is at pre-COVID levels. So they're driving empty trains or half-empty trains, and spending that money anyway. So it's the whole combination is back to the whole central planning that you just mentioned earlier. It's a failed model, and the more you can have the markets determine these things, the better off we are. Yeah.
Driving the empty trains, you got to keep up appearances. Just like keeping the doors open with one tomato in the bin. You and Backrack, right? Ed Backrack, co-authored a piece for the Wall Street Journal on Illinois pensions because they've been sweetened again. Don't by any means think that the largest unfunded pension liability in the country would dissuade Illinois politicians from continuing to try to, buy off portions of the electorate that are in line for government pensions. Give us the details.
Well, so, back in 2019, the police and fire for downstate police and fire were the pensions were increased somewhat. And there were some promises apparently made to Chicago police and fire that they would be made equal with that. And so, never mind that Chicago police and fire pensions are among the worst funded in the country. They're literally insolvent. Never mind that there's billion-dollar deficits. We just discussed the CTA. We got the mess in Chicago. And yet lawmakers unanimously increased the benefits for Chicago police and fire. Now, look, I'm a huge supporter of the Chicago police and fire. But I also know that just more lies on top of more lies from lawmakers to the police isn't good. They're promising more benefits to Chicago police and fire, but what they've done is effectively even bankrupted more the pension plans and makes it even more likely that these pensions won't be paid out in the future. So, our lawmakers they don't care. I mean, they just don't care. They don't have a vision about this. They've just made things worse. And don't forget that these benefit increases for police and fire are massive property tax hikes for Chicagoans as well. And that's already a mess too. So we're spiraling here, and under the leadership of Pritzker, this bill is coming to fruition. Now it's on his desk to be signed. He hasn't signed it yet, and he's got a little bit of a problem because people are now looking to see is he going to be the one to perpetuate this pension mess in Illinois, and he likely will be.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the same old. They actually punish the people they are purporting to help, right? So, it's all well and good to make open-ended promises you can't keep because somebody else will more likely than not be on the hook when those promises are no longer keepable, or when you have an outcome that perhaps you didn't anticipate when you were cheerleading the politicians. I note this with the $20 minimum wage in California, where we've got a new paper out. 3 economists at the University of California, San Diego, and Texas A&M find that employment in the fast food sector in California fell substantially after the imposition of the $20 an hour minimum wage, with estimates ranging from 2.3 to 3.9%. In other words, almost 18,000, entry-level jobs in the fast food sector went away because of the artificial increase in the hourly wage. Employers made other arrangements, and so now you've got a bunch of people that this was their entree into the labor market, and you go from there. Well, now they don't have that entree.
Well, yeah. Well, and this brings us all back around to the grocery stores, right? I mean, the government can promise over and over and over to do more, and sadly, people buy it, right? I mean, this is the whole point: is that they buy. Okay, yeah, the grocery store can take care of me. My transportation agency can take care of me. This whole Medicaid blow up we're having in food stamps. The government is making so many promises, and once they get so big, they can't meet them, and it takes a long time for ordinary people to figure that out. And of course, it's what every country in that whole old Soviet bloc figured out, is that these promises eventually become false promises, and eventually you overthrow it. But it takes a lot of pain and a lot of decline before you can finally figure that out. And one tomato is the exact example of what many people lived through in the old Soviet days.
You're someone who's forward-looking, trying to stay ahead of the learning curve here. So, and we talked a bit about this last week with your colleague Mark Lennon. The hot real estate market. I mean, it's always hot in Chicago, regardless of the data. But right now, it is a little hotter than it's been in years because of the limited supply of available houses. So you see people getting perhaps more than the market would otherwise bear, and suggesting that, real estate prices in Illinois are holding. They're on the upswing. Essentially they're arguing that you can, or maybe wishing that you can outrun the math of the property taxes in this state. And I wanted to get your take on what you think is happening and will happen in the foreseeable future.
Well, I've done both a long-term view and a short-term view. And the long-term view is that we've done horribly. Illinois housing prices are pretty much at the bottom of the country. I think we're actually 50th in terms of housing appreciation in the last 20 years. Almost, when you adjust for inflation, almost no growth. So, and you compare that to the other states that are hot, and of course you've got your Texas and your Tennessee and your Florida. They're super hot because so many people are moving there, and there's a lot of demand. Now, so we have a horrible situation, and a lot of that has to do with property taxes and a lack of just population growth and economic growth. We're also at the bottom of the country for that. So all that fuels itself and it spins. But now, if you look at the last couple of years, my colleague John has been pulling up the stat, and it's fascinating. And last year, for example, Chicago, if you look at the largest, the Case-Shiller cities, these are the big cities. There are two cities that are just at the very, very bottom of housing units growth. New increase in housing units. Chicago had a 0.04% increase in housing units in 2024. Well, no wonder you're going to have this problem in a place like Chicago in short term on pricing. And if you look at Cook County, it's been a massive collapse in creation of new housing units. So we're not building new units, and that's creating this supply demand situation that's shooting Chicago prices up, from what I can tell.
Yeah, but I mean, what's your how do you project out what's going to happen? The market response to demand that amazingly is a little bit ahead of supply here. Ultimately, you're going to see, ostensibly, you're going to see contractors provide that supply, and then the sort of underlying fundamentals of the math take over again, right?
Well, yeah, you would think that. I mean, you're talking about like the whole granny flat thing in Chicago.
Yeah, right.
There's going to be some increase in supply. But I think we're fighting two things. If you look at economic growth in the last since Pritzker took office, we're fourth worst in the country. So, and you're seeing corporations like invest less here and all that. So there's this big battle between a slowdown, and it's an ugly slowdown. And of course, you're still going to have. I mean, we still are the sixth largest state, right? Chicago is still the massive city it is, and so you're still going to have demand. And even if it's lower income demand, you're still going to have demand. And so we'll have that battle. But I'm not optimistic at all, even if we have in the short term this increase.
At least not without leadership change that brings with it policy changes. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Ted Dabrowski, President, WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
And he joined us on the turnkey.provincial line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
I'm Ben Barzita.
And I'm Matt Nadeau, founding partners of Barzita and Nadeau Wealth Management. And after more than a decade on the air, we're excited to be back with our brand new show, Money Hour Radio.
Tune in every Saturday at 1 p.m. on AM 560 as we break down retirement planning, market trends, tax reduction strategies, and our Advance and Protect investment approach.
It's sophisticated planning, independent analysis, and trusted guidance backed by over 40 years of combined experience.
Join us for Money Hour Radio, Saturdays at 1 p.m. on AM 560.
Dan Proft here. If you're dealing with chronic joint pain, stop what you're doing and listen up. I want to tell you about QC Kinetics, the game changer in regenerative medicine and longtime sponsor of this program, Chicago's Morning Answer. Forget surgery, forget steroids. QC Kinetics uses your own body's healing power to restore damaged tissue and relieve that nagging pain in your knees, shoulders, back, you name it. 92% of patients find relief. This is cutting-edge, non-invasive treatment that's helped thousands ditch the pain meds and get their lives back. QC Kinetics, they're the pros, caring, knowledgeable, and totally focused on finding the right solution for you. If joint pain is slowing you down this summer, do what smart people around the country are doing. Call QC Kinetics today for a free consultation. They have locations all over Chicagoland, Naperville, Oak Brook Terrace, Morton Grove, Gurnee, and Crystal Lake. Trust me, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including your freedom from pain. Get a second opinion. This could be life-changing. Call today to see if you're a candidate. Call 312-809-5955. Tell them Dan Proft sent you. When you do, call 312-809-5955. Again, that number, 312-809-5955.
Hey, this is Sean Thompson. You know, there's an old joke about Uncle Sam's tax short form. The first line says, "How much did you make?" The next line says, "Send it in." Sadly, that's not funny at all for honest people who pay taxes. But that's exactly what a lot of people do in their retirement. They take money out of their 401k and their IRA, and they send it into the IRS. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group believes there's a better plan for your retirement than Uncle Sam's plan of send it in. What if your current plan includes thousands of dollars in unnecessary taxes and fees? What if you're headed for higher Medicare payments, lower Social Security checks? What if the savings you may realize allows you to retire even earlier? Wouldn't you want to know all of that right now? Call Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group and find out today. Call 630-864-6711. The number again, 630-864-6711. You can also visit alphawealthgroup.com to schedule your no-obligation consultation.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technologies such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
So, what'd you call me over here to see, buddy?
Well, wait till you see the new set of wheels
Whoa, would you look at this garage floor? Wow, buddy, is this epoxy? So smooth and shiny. It looks like a showroom in here. Wow, looks easy to keep nice and clean, too.
Yeah, it is, but...
Man, I've been thinking about getting an epoxy coating. This is a sweet-looking garage floor.
You happen to notice my new Corvette?
Oh, huh. That's cool too.
Level 10 Coatings, Chicagoland's premier concrete coatings company. We can improve the look of your garage, basement, office, or outdoor space with customized concrete coating solutions. As Chicagoland's only certified Cimarron installer, we're setting industry standards with the most durable flooring solutions at highly competitive prices. Level 10 Coatings uses polyurea and polyaspartic coating, which is stronger than epoxy. Turn your ugly garage floor into a showroom floor. Now, with the summer special, just mention AM560 to receive $500 off any project. Visit level10coatings.com.
Big or small, we coat them all. Level 10 Coatings, your custom concrete coating solution.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:38, our friend and man of letters, Dominic Green, columnist at the Washington Examiner and fellow of the Royal Historic Society. He joins us to talk a little bit about the censorious nature of the Brits, as well as we'll have some fun poring over some of what Hunter Biden had to say in a recent podcast interview that we discussed a bit earlier in the program. That's all at 8:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 74 degrees in Chicago. From the AM 560, The Answer Newsroom, I'm Bob Stevenson. If it seems like time is flying by, well, today just may be. Here's Tanya Powers.
Usually when we do stories on long or short days, we're talking about the amount of daylight there will be. You know, spring forward, fall back kind of stories. This one is about the Earth actually completing a full rotation in slightly less time than usual, making today one of the literal shortest days on record. You may not notice it. The difference will be just 1.34 milliseconds less than the standard 24 hours. Chalk it up to differences in the gravitational pull between the Earth and the Moon. If the trend continues, 1 second may need to be subtracted from atomic clocks around 2029, a negative leap second, which has never been done before.
Prominent Chicago defense attorney Thomas Durkin has died at 78 after a brief illness. Durkin spent decades fighting high-profile terrorism and fraud cases and was known for his fierce advocacy and colorful personality. This news is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again.
Charlie Kirk trusts the administration to get it right.
You know my opinion about Epstein. I would love to see the DOJ move to unseal the grand jury testimony. I think this would be a big win, and I would love to see that. I'm going to trust my friends, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, my friend Pam Bondi, all these guys. I'm going to trust them to solve it. Ball is in their court. That's it.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Weekdays at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Golf legend Jack Nicklaus, the Golden Bear, tennis star Rafael Nadal, and the late great Kobe Bryant. What do they all have in common? They're all recipients of stem cell therapy, using your own body's healing properties to find relief from sports injuries and chronic joint pain. You can receive the same therapy at QC Kinetics in Naperville, Morton Grove, Oakbrook Terrace, Gurnee, and Crystal Lake. QC Kinetics, regenerative medicine. You've been hearing their ads on the station for 2 years, and the response has been so exciting. So many AM 560 listeners are getting relief from chronic joint pain thanks to stem cell therapy from QC Kinetics. 92% of patients report satisfaction. Even Joe Rogan loves it. If you're considering surgery, stop now and contact QC Kinetics. It doesn't cost anything for a second opinion. Weekend appointments are available. This could be life-changing. Call today to learn more and see if you're a candidate. Call 312-809-5955. and tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. That number again is 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
You're great at protecting your own personal information. You probably even use things like two-factor authentication, strong passwords, VPN. But as much as you try to be in control of how your information is protected, there's lots of places that also have it. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every single second for identity threats. If your identity is stolen, a LifeLock specialist is going to help solve the identity theft issues, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% off your first year with a promo code Beck at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4 everremodeling.com.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic, a service of Lowe's on the Edens inbound Lake Cook to Montrose, 21 minutes. A 23-minute ride on the Edens outbound Montrose to Lake Cook. On the Kennedy inbound O'Hare to Byrne Interchange, a 50-minute travel time. And a 49-minute ride on the Kennedy outbound Byrne Interchange to O'Hare. Eisenhower inbound Jane Addams to Old Post Office. You're looking at 62 minutes. On the Eisenhower outbound Old Post Office to Jane Addams, a 47-minute ride. On the Stevenson inbound 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 46 minutes. And on the Dan Ryan inbound 95th to the Byrne Interchange, you are looking at 23 minutes. 11 minutes for your ride Dan Ryan outbound Byrne Interchange to 95th this morning. Lowe's knows saving big on appliances makes a big difference. Get up to 30% off on major appliances and get delivery as soon as the next day. Valid through 7:30. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com/delivery for more details. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today will bring partial sunshine with a high of 89. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with warm and humid conditions and a low of 73. Tomorrow will feature times of sun and clouds with a high reaching 95. Thursday will be sunny to partly cloudy and hot, also with a high of 95. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. As loyal listeners know, I'm all for anything that gets people off of bicycles. The whole cyclist culture, bike riding culture, cyclist makes it sound more regal than it really is. That whole thing I find obnoxious, generally speaking. Maybe it's my time in the big city of Chicago and the effort by Tiny Dancer and other mayors to turn Chicago into the Paris of the Midwest, car-free with bike lanes and so forth. Maybe it's just the obnoxiousness of that culture with everybody pretending to be riding in the Tour de France in full costume when they go out for a leisurely bike ride. I don't know. Not to mention it's dangerous. Recent data on deaths per billion, deaths per billion journeys taken, per billion hours traveled, per billion kilometers traveled. This is in the UK. Finds bike riding to be just under cycling, motorcycle, and just above pedestrian deaths when it comes to highest deaths per billion, those categories, by various modes of transportation. So foot, walking, private car, van, water, air, rail, bus, all much safer too. So I'm just trying to protect people's safety. Not really. Out of an abundance of caution, if we remember that favorite phrase from COVID. No, not really. Just because my own personal aesthetic taste. But of course, I would never actually impose that by law. So it's sort of funny that this happened in the UK, this incident the other week. A guy posted this on X who calls himself a rights of nature and climate campaigner, barrister and river garden, protecting trees and rivers. And yet he had this interaction with police and the police state in Britain. He was ticketed, was the cyclist, for riding his bike no-handed.
I would disagree with you, okay? That is why I ticketed.
So anyone cycling no-handed in rush hour in the City of London is going to get ticketed?
If I see them.
They are. And you think you think that is a valuable use of City of London police time when bike theft is endemic. You don't even investigate most bike thefts. Let me finish. And where there's phone snatching going on, you could be getting robbers and you're letting phone snatchers and bike thieves go to ticket law-abiding citizens cycling no-handed. Do you think that's an honestly good use of City of London police time?
So, cycling with no hands on the handlebars.
Yeah.
Okay. Places other road users at risk. Contravenes.
No, it doesn't. How does it? How does it?
We've already spoken about this.
This is amazing. So, cycling no-handed violates Article 2 of the Human Rights Act. Is that the right to life?
No, I said it endangers people.
You said it
on the road.
You just said it.
Okay.
Me cycling no-handed violates Article 2 of the Human Rights Act. I think we're done with that. It's rather silly, isn't it?
Well, excuse me, sir, but is this not the culture that you have suborned? Yeah, Article 2, right to life, the Human Rights Act in the UK. And he argues that the officer is essentially communicating that he endangers people's right to life if he falls off and injures them because he's riding no-handed. I mean, nanny state doesn't really quite capture it, does it? For more on the state of affairs in the UK and, bad ideas in the UK and in Western Europe have a tendency to travel over here and at least be embraced by the neo-Marxists in America. Dominic Green joins us. He's a columnist for the Washington Examiner, contributor to the Wall Street Journal, and a fellow of the Royal Historical Society, so mind your manners. Dominic Green, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hello, Dan. Thank you.
Yes. You've got the Britain police on the prowl looking for people riding bicycles no-handed, and then you've written this piece about the next iteration of the censorious left, which is this banter bill. Please comment and explain.
Right. Well, I mean, as for the cyclists, this is a good example of our slide into what has been called anarcho-tyranny, which is if you're a law-abiding person, you're going to be tyrannized by the state, fined for doing things like riding a bike in the wrong way. And on the other hand, meanwhile, everybody is left exposed to anarchy, which is the parts of society which simply cannot be policed. And this is a tendency across the West. We're either exposed to petty crime and often serious crime at levels some of us cannot recall having occurred in our lifetimes, or we're being slowly bureaucratized, taxed, and fined to death or even inertia. They'll take away our bicycles in the end. Now, the banter bill is a good case of this. It's called the banter bill because people in Britain can't take anything seriously except, of course, spoiling other people's fun. You heard that on the recording just now. The banter bill is part of a range of laws that the Labour government has tried to bring in. Building, it has to be said, on the stupid laws brought in previously by the Conservative government to stop people from speaking their minds. And here we do come to the serious bit, which, as we know, free speech is on the back foot, if not buried, in Britain. Earlier this year, when our half-wit Prime Minister Keir Starmer went to Washington, he was chastised in the White House by Vice President J.D. Vance for precisely this. And Starmer, of course, said it's not the thing. You can say what you like in Britain. Meanwhile, they want to pass a law which is part of an employment rights bill, which basically passes new responsibilities and taxes and burdens onto employers. And one of them is that the employers are responsible if the employees feel offended. Now, this means you could be working in a pub or a restaurant or a nightclub or in any kind of private space, And as you're carrying a tray of drinks across the room, you happen to overhear something you don't like. Perhaps someone says something about immigration. Perhaps someone makes a joke about trans rights. And you will be able to prosecute your own employer for having hurt your feelings. You know.
Yeah, I want to open a business in the UK. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is where we now are. And the bill has gone through the House of Commons and it's gone through the House of Lords, who are supposed to be the adults in the room. And now it's going to be tweaked a little here and there, but it could well come a joke. And that's very, very bad.
Well, I mean, right. And so all of this reporting about the end of cancel culture, I mean, maybe a little bit more so in the United States than in the UK, given your government. But I mean, just generally speaking, this is coming from a response from the body politic or the lack thereof. And what you're saying is you still have a British population that is lying supine in response to the anarcho-tyrannists, if you will.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would say two things. One, as my grandmother advised me, never jump off an ocean liner because it takes so long for an ocean liner to turn around that they'll never find you. And the modern state is this big, powerful ocean liner. And even if you want to change direction, it takes a long time to turn it 180 degrees. You're seeing much the same with the Trump administration in the U.S. However quickly you grab the wheel, it's really tough. This is like winkling people out of a bunker or something. You know, we built these institutions. They're full, generally speaking, of very left-wing people who have feathered their nests at the taxpayers' expense and will fight to the end, not surprisingly, to keep their nice jobs and pensions. Mm-hmm. As for the people of Britain, well, it's a tale of two cities in a way. There is London and then there's the rest. The government in London really seems to believe that it can tell everybody what to do. This is ridiculous. You can't tell the English, the Scots, the Irish, the Welsh what to do. No one ever has.
And how to feel about it.
Fact, yes, exactly. And the country is steaming. You know, for instance, controversial opinions that could offend your imaginary waiter or waitress under the banter bill, saying there's too much immigration. Well, 63% of people in Britain, when they were polled last week, said that. So that's the majority opinion. That's almost twice as high as the number of votes that went to Keir Starmer when he won the Prime Minister's job. So the idea that simply saying that should be considered as something offensive is just preposterous. And I'm afraid to say there's an even bigger one coming down the pike, which is the idea of an Islamophobia bill.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, now in Britain, the government insists that Islam is a race, which of course it's not. There are Muslims of all colors. Unfortunately, it's taking its definition of Islamophobia from the most narrow and highly politically motivated figures in both political parties, but also advisory groups, some of whom are front groups for people like the Muslim Brotherhood, who are no friends to democracy. If we have that definition would basically make it criminal or liable for prosecution, certainly, for you to say there seems to be a tension between certain groups' interpretations of Islam and liberal democracy, for instance. That would be a statement worthy of being arrested. That's nuts. I think you would agree. To American listeners, it sounds like some kind of stupid police state. And it is in a kind of incompetent way. What we're drifting into, and it is stupidity and desperation as much as anything else. We are drifting into a situation in Britain where if you don't agree with the party line, the power of the courts and the police will be used against you.
Well, just on that score, I mean, before we had the squad, or the Socialist Spice Girls, as I call them, the Rashida Tlaibs and the Ilhan Omars and the AOCs of the world, and now Zoran Mamdani, you had Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London.
Yes, as he still is. Mayor Khan. Now, if you look what has happened in London, it's a very good example. Every time he's a little man, and every time he pops up out of his hole to tell us how much we're benefiting from diversity, he jumps back in before people start asking him about the crime statistics or about the fact there are weekly marches of people rioting against the Jews. This is not the hallmark of a happy city. This is the hallmark of a city divided against itself, with a government, the mayoralty, encouraging the worst aspects of behavior for votes. This sounds familiar, of course, to big city politics in the U.S. I hate to bring the good people of Chicago into this,
Yes,
but,
exactly right.
It does ring a bell.
Every big city in this country. I mean, that's the thing. It's what's happening at the federal level, and the efforts of the Trump administration is one thing. What's happening in blue states and big blue cities, which is all of them over 300,000 people, just about, is a very different thing.
Well, as you know, I'm a Bostonian of long standing, so I know all about the blue state machine, absolutely. Interestingly enough, what's happening in Britain is almost the opposite in some ways, that rather than having, big cities against the people, there's a huge popular movement developing in Britain, as there is in many European countries, and it's having trouble turning itself into an actual political movement, but nobody is happy with this. Nobody really wants, the vast majority of people want sudden change and improvement. Yeah. They want an economy that works. They want to be able to walk down the street in safety. They don't want to pay the highest taxes since 1947 or so, when they were still rationing. They want to be able to get on with their lives, to start businesses, grow families, do all the normal things. And as you know, the job of government is to prevent that and to soak everybody for taxes and reward its friends. And it's reached a kind of saturation point where, as you heard, people can be ticketed for riding a bicycle in the incorrect manner. But there are hundreds of illegal immigrants paddling across the English Channel every day and being put up in hotels at the taxpayers' expense.
Yeah, I mean, none
of them are being sent back.
That bicycle thing is like a Monty Python skit, but it's like you cannot satirize this stuff. Not even John Cleese is that creative. I did want to get your reaction to this. I know you have become desensitized to funding media in the UK. You're a loyal supporter of the BBC by force, and I wanted to see if maybe you would pitch in and help NPR and PBS because they've fallen on hard times. You may have heard. Catherine Maher is the CEO of NPR, and this is her effort to sing for her supper.
Hi, I'm Catherine Maher, CEO of NPR. Congress just voted to eliminate all federal funding for public media. This decision hurts communities across America. It means fewer local reporters covering town councils and state championships. It means fewer stories about local farms, fisheries, businesses, about what's happening in the State House, about musicians and civic leaders who make our communities tick. It means fewer voices reflecting the richness of who we are as a nation, fewer stories about what connects us and brings us closer together. And for millions, especially in rural areas, it means losing access to trusted local news, emergency alerts, and everyday connection. But you can help us keep this vital, vibrant service on air across our nation. For your neighbors, for you, and for millions of Americans. Please, donate now. Thank you.
Dominic, can I count you in for $5 a month?
You most certainly cannot. I have never paid the BBC's license fee. They will have to prize my radio out of my cold dead hands. As far as I'm concerned, it should be broken down, sold off, and set up into some, profitable streaming services, and then we can all watch Fawlty Towers as much as we like and be spared this kind of state propaganda, which is basically what it is. The sad thing about NPR is it was always very small budget. It would be state propaganda, but it was a tiny little slice of a big market. And, what Catherine Maher's talking about there is, like most of NPR's broadcasting, complete nonsense. NPR broadcast across the nation so that urban liberals, when they went to their second homes, would still be able to travel within their media bubble and wouldn't accidentally be exposed to some Yahoo on AM radio playing country rock or, actually telling them what was happening around them. So I think it's a great thing that NPR has been defunded. When I came to the US 2005, and I'd listen to NPR. Now, I'd be doing the washing up or unblocking a toilet, and I'd listen to NPR. And it was all right. I mean, you could, obviously, they were liberals. There were limits, but they weren't completely stupid and insane. And then gradually, and it happened, maybe early 2010, somehow it turned into a lecture from these weird-sounding children who are always telling you that you'd been naughty in some way. And so I simply stopped listening. And I was quite surprised, actually, to find it was still going and then had to be euthanized. But I'm all in favor of that. If there is genuinely a market for it, let people subscribe and we'll see. And if there isn't, well, hey, let it go the way of the weak party.
Well, if with Catherine Marr in charge, I don't think you're going to get quality content anytime soon, but we'll see. Dominic Green, columnist for the Washington Examiner, contributor to the Wall Street Journal, and fellow of the Royal Historical Society. Dominic, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
A pleasure, Dan. Thanks.
And Dominic Green, join us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it. Literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available. Financing is flexible. And at Air Right, installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
AM 560. The Answer.
Some breaking news just coming over the transom. Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, says he will meet with Ghislaine Maxwell in the coming days. So we may get congressional testimony, or at least behind closed doors testimony from Ghislaine Maxwell. We'll continue to update that story. Thanks for joining us today. It is now 9 a.m. AM 560 WIND Chicago.
She will tell the truth. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer tells